And we will do that. All right, guys. Sorry about the delay on that. Just had to get some things set up. So hopefully everybody's having a good evening. Of course, I see Derek saying hi in the chat. Ancient Mew, of course, all the normal favorites here. Of course, today we have Peekdatchu. If you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, quick.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Just excited to hang out. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with who I am, I think, at this point, but if you're not, I am a buyer, collector, seller of Pokemon and assorted TCGs. Recently into Dragon Ball and some other things, some Zelda cards. Just an all-around collector who pretty engaged in the community. YouTube is not here yet, but I'm about a week off from having a channel. So you guys will be seeing a little bit more of me if you like that or not. But yeah, happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, of course, I'm NorthwoodsCollectors. For anybody who's just joining in or subbing, the chat mode is on sub because the last live I did, I was getting a lot of bots inside of there. So if you do want to discuss anything on the chat, of course, just subscribe to the channel. There's no limitation where you have to be on for so many months or anything like that. You can just join in and subscribe to the channel to get in. It's just tired of them little bots showing up trying to sell links and stuff. So that's why I set
that's
that
when
up
you know that's when you know you've made it. When the
I know,
bots
right?
Coming after you.
Get them little annoying bots that show up all the time throughout the chat. So,
right.
But yeah, that's the only reason that's on. So if anybody wants to chat, you can just hit the subscribe and chat. And if you're not interested in the channel and just want to leave after chat, I don't. That's not a problem. But it's just the safeguard we're doing. But today I just figured we'd sit here and talk of just what's generally happening in the market. I mean, I think both of us are both into the investing side. We're both into the collecting side. We're both doing a lot of different avenues currently right now in the Pokemon TCG, and we're seeing some interesting things coming out of the Pokemon International right now, especially when it comes to new products and things that are kind of showing up. And the overall sets that have been coming out right now have just been, in my opinion, a little lackluster, and it's just kind of interesting to see what someone else's opinion is on some of these products and sets that have been coming out of Pokemon International.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I think everybody's seen the leaked new cards. The I forget it's the new alt art. Looks like a centipede. I can't remember the Pokemon's name, but everybody's like super pumped about that. Obviously, we've had the special delivery Charizard that's 2 years late. That's going to be, I don't know if you've got or if you got a code. I heard some people got a code. I'm still waiting on mine. So when the heads of the Pokemon company watch your stream, they need to get after that and get me mine. Yeah, just a lot of stuff going on right now, man. It's a lot of it is doom and gloom. For a lot of people, I feel like I've got a little bit of a slightly different, I guess, opinion, maybe take on that as it relates to kind of collectibles as a whole. But overall, it's there's a lot of craziness happening right now. It seemed like we were kind of in the rocket ship, coming up, and everything is just awesome. Everybody's buying everything, and now it's I won't say slightly pulled back. For a lot of things, it's pulled back a ton, and people are kind of shell shocked right now. And I think it's hard to kind of look at a silver lining or, really know what to do, when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I'm curious what you're saying. Like, what are you hearing about, as of right now, or even in your own, sales and what are you worried? Are you shaking in the boots right now, or what's going through your head?
No. For me, it's still, you do this for so many years, and if you were doing it before the boom, and I used to collect it and save, and they didn't call investing back then, but we used to hold booster box even back in the beginning, and we've seen similar fluctuations in the market. I mean, this isn't new. I mean, it's constantly going up and down, and we are seeing decent sales. Singles are still selling fairly well, especially tournament cards that are being used in tournament are still selling very well.
Sure.
But the thing is that, like I said, back in the end of 2021, even when the Fusion Strike was coming out and we saw Brilliant Stars in the future and things like that, when that point, people kept saying, well, this market's going to continue to go. It's not. The biggest thing is that we have to have Pokemon International doing continually good sets. If they start doing lackluster set after lackluster set after lackluster set, people get bored. People lose interest. Right. People start to look for the next interesting thing. And currently I'm getting a little concerned. You look at the new V-Box that's coming out, the
Hmm.
what is it, pros, or there's it has Tyranitar and Lucario inside of it.
Right. I saw
It's
somebody post that in the Discord the other day, actually.
Yeah, I seen it went through on Pogi Beach, had of course the release information, the beginning of the information on it, and they had the picture from Pokemon International, and it was like, you know, once again, it's full of not good sets. They don't even have Evolving Skies. I think they had 2 Brilliant Stars in the picture and 2 non-playable promo cards. 2 cards that aren't even really being used in the meta right now.
Right.
That's like, yeah, Lucario just had a V Star, I get it. But no tournament card. I haven't seen a tournament deck even playing in the tournaments that have used a Lucario deck or a Tyranitar deck since Battle Styles was first released. People tried Tyranitar decks, but I haven't seen them for over a year now since I've seen a Tyranitar deck actually being used. So once again, it's another box with Fusion Strike, Astro Radiance, Chilling Rain, and then 2 packs of Brilliant Stars. And once again, what's the draw to bring people into that besides the 2 packs? Who wants to spend probably $60?
It's hard for me to think too. I don't want to think that they printed too much, but it's almost like there's so many repeat products that have these same set packs like over and over again. It's just an interesting thing because unlike some people, I see some of the Target restocks that people will post. It's like, oh, check it out. I think Basic Trader the other day was like, hey, here's the my Target's like crazy restocked. Every time I go in there, the shelves are 100% empty. Like I'll occasionally see like a Zacian like boost like ETB or something, like one shoved behind like a toy. I guess somebody was like trying to hide it or something. But that's one thing that I've always kind of struggled with modern. And we've talked a few times. Obviously, you've seen some of the conversations we've gone back and forth. I'm not really a modern guy. But anytime I enter a Target, a Walmart, or something like that, I want to buy modern product. I really do. I want to walk in and I want to see an ETB, and I just want to buy it because it's fun to open. That's really the biggest thing for me. But I think the struggle is it's almost like there's too many different things to buy, which I know from a Pokemon's standpoint, that's great. Hey, more products, more appeals, things like that. But it's really hard to nail down. Okay, when did this come out? Okay, well, no, that was announced after, before this one even came out. It's just hard to keep track of a lot of that stuff nowadays. So, one thing, and this kind of goes to the overarching thing that we talked about, kind of seeing people, losing on Pokemon prices a ton recently. I think a lot of people are looking at other CCGs and other TCGs. I think a lot of us have been in this, for at least a year at this point. And I think people are starting to really kind of feel that burnout. And I think all it takes is, a few price drops. And, again, the tsunami kind of comes in. So I think even myself, I mentioned in the beginning, I've gotten a lot more into like Dragon Ball cards, for example, because I loved the show as a kid. And I just got kind of bored seeing the same stuff. It was like these gigantic sets. I had a few chases, but, I just kind of wanted something different. And it makes me wonder that, some of the market downtrend that we're seeing is not really a collectibles market downtrend. It's more of a Pokemon specific, if that makes any sense. People starting to see a lot more people, post stuff. I actually was just in a Whatnot stream with Swolpoke, and I want a cryptic card that is like a 1 of 6 apparently. So super pumped, follow the art, didn't really know a lot about it, but I was like, oh, he's doing a box break. Let me hop in this and see if I want a giveaway. There's just a lot more competition, I think, than what Pokemon has been used to in the past. And I think we're now starting to see, because so many people have gotten into collectibles, that they are taking a bit of market share from them. Now granted, that's not the only reason we're seeing prices drop, obviously, but I think that is a reason that not a lot of people really talk about.
Yeah, and I think that's a big conversation that we've had in the past, and I think Dan and Catch 'em All Collectibles, and a lot of it, I've heard it from several different sources that Magic the Gathering did a survey 5-6 years ago, and they asked, how long have you been in the hobby? How long have you been involved? And what they found out is that on average, someone stays in a TCG for 2 years. A lot of people are coming up on 2 years. If you got into it in September, October of 2020, you're coming up on that 2 years, which is going to be the question mark. How many people are going to continually lose interest? And that's where I said, that's where my big thing is. Like, it really is in Pokemon's court right now. They could push people past 10 year or that 2 year mark. They could keep pushing people past it and further as long as they put out good sets with chase cards that people want. you know, if they could do a replica of Brilliant Stars or Evolving Skies, you know, you get that set where at least once every 6 months to 8 months, they have to put out a set that's just a gigantic hit. Something that gets everybody back into it, gets people excited, and gets people drawn back into Pokemon again. Because, like you said, the longer that they sit there, they burn out.
I think they did that with Celebrations. I haven't talked to anyone who didn't enjoy opening Celebrations unless they just opened so much of it that they got tired of opening it, you know. Which Josh, old card shop, that's one thing. He's like, I'm so tired of opening this. But you know, I think it's a combination of obviously making sure the sets are good, but also, you know, Pokemon really is a collector driven hobby. Like, it's not a player driven hobby. So I think, you know, I don't know why it's been so long since we've been able to get like exclusive English promos. I mean, it's kind of unreal that they haven't tapped into that market as much, because, you know, especially looking at, you know, Japan, they just have so many, I mean, just banger after banger after banger. And everyone in English speaking countries buys these, you know, because, you know, I mean, look at the Mario, Luigi, Pikachu's, look at even the stamp box promos, you know, that came out. I mean, some of the coolest looking release, like the box is amazing. You know, and the creature deck wasn't necessarily a public release, but like, there's just always these really cool backstory products that are coming out of Japan. And then it took us 2 years to get a special delivery Charizard that was supposed to come out in 2020. And it's like, they're like, okay, finally we'll release this, you know, for the UK, you know, Pokemon Center. But it just doesn't seem like there's as much, I guess what we'll call hunger on their side. You know, they just want to print and sell, which again, more power to them. That's fine. It's very hard for a company to kind of have their full sense of like the pulse of that market, especially the 1% of us, you know, the 1% of 1% that are up until 2 or 3 a.m. just talking cards, you know, in one specific TCG. But I think that, you know, with these other up and coming TCGs, I mean, you look at MetaZoo, you look at, you know, even Cryptic, and that's one that I didn't even necessarily follow very much. I followed Swolepoke, which none of you guys follow him. Find him on Instagram. He's awesome. I think he's got one YouTube video opening the creature deck. Really cool dude, really big into autograph signature Pokemon cards, but he's there. He just recently announced he's the marketing director, I think, for Cryptic. But all he was doing up until that point was just posting the art. And as a collector exclusively, I don't play. I was like, man, this stuff looks so cool. And then you've got Dragon Ball releasing a God Rare. It's like 1 out of every 2 to 6 cases. It's like, that's amazing. Thank you for just announcing the chase like that. You know, and actually saying, here are the, I mean, they didn't officially confirm, but, you know, the hobby figures it out. You know, and then I got into very, very niche and got some, you know, old Zelda cards. I just got kind of hungry to find an IP I grew up with that, what's out there. And I think all that comes from the lack of, you know, refreshing things that are coming out of Pokemon. And I'm not doom and gloom down on Pokemon. I enjoy it. I'm not really big into modern for the most part, but I do enjoy opening it. I just haven't seen anything come out other than really the ultra premium collection that's been, you know, exciting for me. I'm like, oh, this is really hard to get. There's metal cards in there. That's amazing. So I think I think you're spot on. You know, 2 years is, I think, the case for any hobby, you know, for the most part. So they were right on the money. I think you said Magic did that. And you've got to be able to, you know, keep that longevity at after 2 years. And you're not going to do that by just doing the same thing over and over, especially with the sheer amount of competition they have with Kickstarter, TCGs, all these new ones hitting the market. You just got to be creative, and you've got to do something for collectors. Because again, Pokemon, collector driven hobby, that's just what it is. So that's kind of my thoughts, you know, when it comes to that.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that's the biggest thing is that English has always just been kind of, when it comes down to promos, the exciting things, Japanese always gets that. They always get the cool standalone products that are really awesome. The English version never gets those cards, or has cards that that we only get.
Right.
You know, the other thing is too is that, you know, that was the one discussion we had the other day. Why has Pokemon not changed that yellow border? You know, you look at Japanese. I wasn't a part of that.
That's funny.
It's like, why? Why have we not gone to a gray or a silver like all the Japanese cards? Because they look so much cleaner with that gray border, or if it's, you know, hollow, like the Japanese hollows have all the metal around it's like the foil around the outside edges and things like that.
They're
cool
sharp.
Look. They look, even a hollow looks clean and sharp. Our hollows look like crap. And it's
It makes me think too, though, is if it's, especially being able to license, like being able to actually, do English versions of those sets. It makes me wonder if there's a purposeful thought behind that. It's like we can't release the exact same thing in English, but we can release very, very similar, maybe change something. Because anyone who's been in this hobby a little bit above average knows that Japanese quality cards are just, English pales in comparison to them. Like they're just better. They look better. They're made better. The quality control is leaps and bounds better. Not on everything, obviously, but in a general, stroke, it definitely is. So that's, yeah. And I saw, who was that? I think it was maybe Chevels.
Chevels, yeah.
Yeah, so or Chevels. I said Chevels forever, so I'm just gonna own it. I think somebody said Chevals one time, and I was like, my whole mind blew. I was like, what? I've been saying this wrong my whole life.
Well, I might be wrong because I say Chevals because that's what I always
maybe that was you that I heard said. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't see an SHAW. What is this? So he said, people ripping packs of every new set won't necessarily dig deep in the hobby like most here. And he said, when doing price comparisons, so many cool vintage stuff is affordable compared to some ultra modern cards. So this is one thing that, this is the age old argument we hear, right? It's like, all these modern rippers and like, all of this stuff, like they're not really into the hobby, I guess. I actually have definitely changed a little bit of an opinion on that to where I think a lot of us, I'm 32. A lot of us are kind of getting either, we're kind of aging out of a certain timeline of Pokemon. And it's hard for us to realize like that's a starting point for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is it's very important for Pokemon to give content creators specifically, or just influencers, I guess, let's say, like something exciting to talk about. Because when you beat people over the head with, look at this set, look at this set, and you hear that 6 times a year or whatever it is, it's like, you kind of get fatigue because it's a lot of money, realistically. The amount of money we all spend on these cards, or, I'm sure we all have friends, we go, yeah, I spent this much on that. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? But, for the casual that wants to go buy a $50 product, or a $40 product in ETB or whatever it is, like you said, if they've got some sort of, here's a promo set, it's semi-limited. It's not crazy, but it's semi-limited. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, well, what about the guys who are just going to push the kids out of the way and rip it off the shelf? Sure, it may happen, but give people something exciting to do, because from my experience, even with UPC, when I'm told like, hey, this is going to be really hard to get, you're going to have to line up in front of a store, you're going to have to do that, I get excited about that. I pay attention because I want to know, like, well, what's it going to be priced at? How many people are going to get them? It gives you that intrigue versus just, hey guys, we're releasing a shit ton of product. Here's a bunch of boxes, and good luck on whatnot, or whatever it is. It just needs something new, something refreshing. And I think a lot of people are finding that in other TCGs. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've jumped in a few other things, but I still buy Pokemon. I still enjoy Pokemon. Mm-hmm. But I think just diversifying and kind of filling well, I'll say this because I know I'm talking a lot, but I'll kind of get this last point out. So I think Pokemon for a lot of people checked all the boxes, and everything was kind of, I won't say new, but it was like, okay, this is rare. Okay, this is a really cool art. Okay, this is a brand new set, or this is a vintage card. Whatever it may be. You do that enough times, those boxes start getting unchecked. It's like, well, this isn't exciting. I've done this before. So it's okay to kind of diversify and get different collectibles, or that could be anything from like sneakers, coins, like anything to kind of fill that collector void that we have. And Pokemon can still be a part of it, but that does not mean that Pokemon is doom and gloom, or it's like the worst. It's just like, it can be kind of a piece to the puzzle instead of the entire puzzle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, it does. That's just it. There's the biggest thing is that even on Pokemon, there's so many different pieces moving, and that, Professor Oak just put the question on there, what's the most exciting to you in the hobby right now, which I think is a good tie into this. When you sit there and look at a hobby, and when you're looking at what you're doing, for me, for example, I've been doing more with Magic again, and I know Magic isn't as popular.
Oh, really? Yeah, but I don't do that too often. That's cool. Were you a player back in the day?
I was a player back in the day. I'm 36, so I was actually started.
You were right there.
Yeah, I was playing Magic before I was playing Pokemon, so I actually started playing TCG and Magic. And when Pokemon got released, then I started playing Pokemon and Magic for quite a long time. And then I stopped playing Magic for a while and just did Pokemon, and then kind of kept flip-flopping back and forth. And I know that there's not a lot of value in Magic, but it's fun to kind of open up some new Magic packs and actually get into them and check out the different sets that are out there right now. Like you said, it's that I've been doing this. I've been back into Pokemon since roughly April, May of 2019. So I started right when Unbroken Bonds came out. Unbroken Bonds is a new set when I came out. And that's where I was saying, it's fun to just do this for this long, and I'm not going to stop. I love Pokemon. I love doing all that stuff. And I'll continue to do it. But I do enjoy doing new things, like doing Magic. I've been looking into Magic. I've been going back, kind of reminiscing, kind of checking it out a little bit. Put my feelers out there because, like you said, I don't think people are leaving TCGs necessarily. I think that they're starting to spread different ways. Like you said, I'm hearing Dragon Ball Super is getting really popular all of a sudden. Even in our local Walmarts, Dragon Ball Super was sitting there on the shelf for quite a while, and all of a sudden now it's all gone. So
I'm loving it, man. I've never seen it in retail stores, honestly. And literally the card arts, and this is what was really fun because I grew up with that show, and I'm so used to Pokemon, and I watched a little bit of the show, but primarily it was cards for me in video games, obviously, as everybody has played. But I got so used to the arts, right? Like a great Pokemon art. And hey, spicy hot take here. I've pulled like uncommon common cards from Dragon Ball Super Realm of the Gods, which is what I finally took the step in to get into, that rival some of the best modern Pokemon art, no problem. To the point to where, and this would be something that, once I have my kind of channel going, I do want to give kind of a breakdown of how to actually understand this TCG, because the website sucks. I mean, it's absolute garbage. It has a dash in the name. I don't know why that bothers me so much. It's not secure on any browser. The information, I mean, we're so spoiled with the amount of info dump that we have on every single thing Pokemon. So eventually I want to be able to kind of educate people, because I think that's a holdback, because people just don't know what to buy. But my point being is coming from Pokemon and opening that set, I didn't know what the hit was. So opening it, I'm oh man, I got this. And it's uncommon. I'm but it looks so good and has a little bit of a shine to it. Almost kind of like a reverse holo, for Pokemon a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just been, I've had a lot of fun with it, man. And I just Mason was just asking me how many cases I had to get for that God Rare I pulled from Realm of the Gods. I bought 2 cases of it. I was just I'm going to pull this. And, thank goodness that Mason jumped in the stream, 4.5 hour stream. He jumped in, 10 minutes later it was pulled. So he's to blame. And when I open these new cases that I just got, he's required to be in the YouTube live, Instagram live, whatever it is. But it's just fun. And like you said, going back to Magic, it scratches that itch for you. You're not bored. It's you're curious. You just want to see where they're at with it. Right.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, and Mason, kind of called me out. There's no money, not a lot of value in Magic. I didn't mean it in that way. I mean, the newer sets are a lot more. It's not like Pokemon where you can pull an alternate art Rayquaza or a, Moonbreon or a Rainbow Pikachu out of some of these sets and hit that really $200, $300, $700 card inside of a pack. I mean, right now,
Moonbreon. What's the Moonbreon of Magic? Give us the.
See, and that's just. I am literally just going in and researching it, so that's where for modern sets that I've been looking at for that, there's not as much. But I know that there is value in Magic. It's just a matter of analyzing it, and I have to spend a little time just trying to figure out where everything kind of falls in it. And that's the biggest thing is I just literally started buying packs last week. I bought really? Probably...
So this is recent you've got
that. Oh, yeah, it's just recent. I just want to do something different. Go back for some other nostalgic and go back to Magic for a little bit, just to check it out. And the other thing is that right now in our area, like you were saying, people are showing their shelves just full of Pokemon stuff. And I don't know what's going on. I knew MJ Holding was changing something. Something with MJ Holding and Walmart and Target was changing in their contracts or however they were distributing this stuff. I haven't had even Pokemon Go in a Walmart yet.
Oh yeah, I don't see any Pokemon, man. I don't see any.
It's empty. My shelves are completely empty at a Walmart and Target. GameStop was the only thing that actually carried Pokemon Go when it came out. Otherwise, it was darn near
Wow.
impossible to find.
Which
And
GameStop
it, or
employees, no offense to anybody who works for GameStop, but you guys kind of get first dibs on a lot of that stuff. So let's just be real here. That's why it's like, oh, we only got this, whatever.
yeah.
I don't know if you can see this. We'll see if my camera can actually pick it
Oh,
up. Maybe I might have turned my background off. Oh, I'm gone.
yeah, you're
I have to turn it
gone.
off.
You're hiding.
I'll turn it off. Hold on.
So
I don't think my
but
room is dirty here. So let me try this. Maybe. No, it thinks I'm the background. I'll fix it. I hate doing this. I only did a background because my lighting kind of sucks here, but let's try this.
I won't
So
tell anybody. I
maybe
used to.
maybe you can
Yeah.
see that a little bit better. So this is one of the things I actually just picked up. It's kind of a hard, let's see. There you go. So it's a PSA 10. Oh, I don't have my video flipped today. That's awesome. Kind of hard to see, but it's called Determined Super Saiyan Gohan. I think is what it is. Yeah, Sun Gohan. This is really cool. So this is something after going through a little bit of kind of deep dive into Dragon Ball. So this came out in 2017, and you can't really see what that says, but it says Judge stamp. So this is like the Dragon Ball version of staff cards for Pokemon.
Okay.
And I recently just discovered those, and I didn't realize that they did that type of stuff. Let me get my funny Nigel back up. I pulled this out because I just opened it, and I got this from a guy in Switzerland of all places, off an eBay listing. But that's one thing now, kind of going back and realizing how new some of these TCGs are, because they had like the old Dragon Ball Z, I think like Panini stuff and Score and things like that. But Super really hasn't been around that long. So I'm really right now what I'm kind of going after and trying to, I guess, collect are judge stamped cards. So staffs, I guess, is lack of a better term. Anybody who's seen me talk about anything, I'm always bringing up Worlds cards, Pokemon World Championships, things like that. This is kind of their version. So they had their first release judge stamp cards in 2017, very first time they ever did it. There's I think 4 or 5 in the set, so I've got 3 so far. 2 10s and then a raw mitt that I won for, oh man, what was that? $1.75, greatest steal of all time. I was so happy because the cheapest raw version of that on Buy It Now is like $120. Like that's it. And I somehow won this I'm so happy the guys shipped the card, but it's just kind of trying to get ahead of the, with Pokemon, if you try to go back to some of those original years, I mean, we're talking 20 grand, 30 grand for a PSA 4, that type of stuff. So that's just kind of another layer of like, when you're kind of a little bit late on that, it's like, it's nice to find a TCG and go, wow, this has kind of the same fundamentals, the same sort of rarity, the same sort of story, because everybody kind of mirrors stuff from it. And just being able to discover that in other collectible games is like really fun for me. So that's kind of really what I'm trying to play around with. And obviously I'm buying like modern Dragon Ball and just trying to really understand kind of where it came from, where it's been, how Bandai's really messed up everything with them, and just trying to find some opportunity there, not only for, again, resell, things like that, and kind of trying to find these rare items I think will do well, but also, I love Dragon Ball. I would never really get into anything I didn't enjoy. So yeah, it's fun, man. It's a good time.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, that's like magic. It's nostalgic to me. I've been looking. I haven't really dove into it. I mean, I've been looking at Dragon Ball Z just because, like you said, it's fun to see new things. Pokemon is a lot of fun. I enjoy now having the ability to kind of see things come down in price, where some of the things that were out of reach even a year ago are now getting a little bit more in grasp. You could actually start picking up some of these, especially like raw cards. You're able to maybe get those raw cards that you're looking for from back in time for under $100 now. And those chase cards before were like $1,000 to $1,400 back in this time in 2021. And it's just crazy to think that some people were buying those cards, and some people were buying those cards as investment. So, that's how many channels we're sitting there saying, even like ourselves, wait, don't pay over MSRP, wait for this market. It's crazy right now. Don't do that, and then people are paid way too much money for these things.
Right.
And
right. Hey, I'll be right back just real quick. Sorry.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just that's the biggest thing is I like to sit there and look at is when it comes down to Pokemon investment, or if you look at any other TCG investment, these things have the ability to keep moving and changing, and we are seeing up and down movement, which inside of even modern Pokemon, which gives it the ability to be able to do those chase. So, you guys got any questions while we're waiting for Colton to get back? Yeah, I just got done with COVID there right before the last week in June. So that's why I've been trying to avoid lives for the most part. What's the drink of choice tonight? I'm just drinking fruit punch, Mio. Yeah, basic. I actually do play. I don't play as much as I would like to. It's really difficult to find enough time, but I do try and get out at least every other weekend to go out and play. There's a tournament not too far away, and I try to go there and at least play every other week. But yeah, no, I actually do play. What's the most exciting thing about Pokemon right now? Most exciting thing for me right now is what is going to be the new dynamic in Scarlet and Violet. I think the unknowns of that set are kind of cool. It's nice. It's an interesting take. Oh, not a problem. But yeah, when it...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Professor Oak just asked the question: what are the most exciting? What are you most excited about right now in Pokemon? And I said, personally, right now, I'm getting kind of excited about Scarlet and Violet. I want to see the new dynamic. What's going to be changed in Scarlet and Violet? Are we going to finally see possibly the end of Rainbow Rares and Gold cards in that set? Are they going to carry them through? There's a lot of these questions. How far are they going to continue alternate arts? I think they're having good success.
I feel like those have some pretty good staying power. I'm not a big fan of Rainbow Rares at all, but I think that alt arts are definitely I could see somebody having a master alt art set, and there's probably I'm sure there's people that are out there doing that already, and I like that. I do like the alt art, the chase that they do with those. I think is really cool. I think it was Pokemon DNA who actually went in and he did. I can't remember which set it was, but he said how many packs you'd have to open or booster boxes to actually pull the chase. And it was some ridiculous number. He put the monetary value was $86,000 or something. I love that. I love making it super hard to get. Just because again, I've said this a ton. I love chasing really hard to get stuff, and knowing that it's not an exclusive art, but it's just a unique art on a certain character is cool to me. So I think those are good. Personally, I think rainbows look dumb. I've never been a fan of them. I think it's lazy. Personally, again, spicy hot take. I just think that it's it doesn't look awesome in my opinion. I want original, cool art. I don't want just a rainbow colored version of that. But that's just me.
And I'm the same way. I mean, the funny thing is that I left the hobby in 2006 was a lot when I finally retired from Pokemon tournaments, and I kind of retired all my decks and everything like that. And that's why I said back then when I did it, I laughed because I said, when I left, I left. I didn't go and keep pulling packs because the second that you keep doing that, you keep getting you'll get drawn back into it, especially if you enjoy it. And I just had way too much going on, and life was moving and all that. When I came back in 2019, it was just crazy. Can you imagine leaving and Gold Stars were really the top card back in the day when I left in 2006. There were no full arts. There were no gold cards. There were no rainbows. And all of a sudden, I think I went and when I came back in Unbroken Bonds, I bought a booster box, and I think the third or fourth pack I opened was a rainbow rare. And I remember sitting there looking at this thing going, what is this card? I mean, it was just whoa, this has changed. What is going on? I mean, it was just really cool to see that card come out, and it was just funny because it was just the changes that have happened, and that's where a lot of people will argue that modern will never get to the point where vintage is, where Watsy is, and it's like you realize how many new people like my son you brought into this hobby.
Sure.
There are so many young people into this that vintage. I think they will eventually try and get vintage just because of the rarity of it. But if they leave and they come back just like we did, are they going to go right for base set, or are they going to try and go for where they started?
Probably where they started.
They're going to go right to where they started. I mean, and so my thought is that a lot of people are going to leave. We're going to see a lot of turnaround with, kids growing up. They lose interest, but they're going to sit there and, even my kid. I got all this stuff put away, whatever, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. He comes home and I've got all this stuff out on the side. And he's going to go, well, wow, I remember pulling this card, or I remember, doing this with this card. And that's the chances that you're going to see these kids. Because now we're to the age where our collections are probably going to stay out now for, the rest of our lives, especially the expensive stuff. It's probably going to be displayed.
I think it's one of those things that's like, and this is another thing that people don't talk about as well. Actually, I take it back. Me and Basic Trainer went back and forth on this. We had some varying opinions on it, but, the people who have kind of grown up in the now, right? They may never come back. Like, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't like. In the 90s, like, you remember like how absolutely of a tsunami wave Pokemon was, like, for the first time. Obviously we had a big boom and it's like always been big, yada, yada, yada. But it was like everyone had Pokemon cards. Like, now I can go to like, and obviously it's an age thing. I can go around and say like, hey, do you look at Pokemon stuff? They're like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, here's a Nigel Thornberry Pikachu. Do you like it? Like, just random things. But I think that, especially with the hero cards, I don't know if you've seen those that are doing DC. Basically, you have a digital copy of the card that is, I think it's like a hybrid NFT setup. So they get serialized on every card. You scan it with your phone with a QR code, and it adds it to your online collection that you can trade and sell. That may be where it goes. And again, NFTs have kind of fallen off a ton, or they had perks to them, things like that. But you could see digital collectibles kind of taking that over. And I think there's always going to be a market of people who do vintage stuff. Like, there's a reason people collect things from the 1800s, but we may see traditional cardboard games like they're not really fully niche. The rainbow. Or wait, what is that? It's hard to see. Was that a rainbow?
Well, they were saying in the chat that the Mew Rainbow VMAX was the best card, even better than the alternate arts and the Fusion Strike set.
It's because Mew's the best, man. Like, there's really not a bad Mew art that I've seen. Before I kind of go on a tangent on that, I do want to answer Oak's question because I've been dodging it. So thank you for the question, Oak. That's actually really awesome, and I love answering stuff like that. If anybody else wants to throw some stuff in there too. What am I most excited about right now in Pokemon? I'll be honest, like, it's, at least right now where I'm at, I would say it's seeing these cards that have never been publicly sold or seen physically outside of like a magazine picture, like, coming up out of the market. People like Dubsy, if anybody follows him on Instagram, like, some of the things that we're starting to see, like especially the snap cards, coming out of the woodwork, all of these number 1, 2, 3, 97, 98, 99 trophies that are coming out. I'm a huge fan of these, like, just insanely rare items. Obviously because they were so hard to acquire and there's so little of them, but more importantly, I'm trying to remember, I think it was the Magikarp snap card that sold that had never sold before. It just came up out of nowhere. The guy tried to sell it to a bookstore and had the bookstore post it. And I think the bookstore did post it and somebody bought it, and then they immediately flipped it on, Yahoo Japan for, I think it was like an $86,000 card, 65,000, something like that. It's just crazy to see, like, these cards have never been sold and they're starting to show up now. Like, that we're at a point in the hobby where it's like, they didn't disappear across, oceans. That's what keeps me excited. Seeing this new stuff I've never heard about, learning new things about it. Like, that's what I really that's what keeps me excited, because realistically, like modern's cool, I guess. Like I like opening it. It's fun. It's like the core of the crux of the hobby, I guess, for lack of a better description. But you know, these items that there wasn't really a lot of documentation because Pokemon didn't really feel like they had to document a ton of stuff. And like, you go to E4 and like go through 12 pages of threads on like how stuff was released. Like I love that stuff, man. So
Mm-hmm.
that it's just learning, really the education part of some of these vintage items that have these cool, unique stories. That's what keeps me excited about it. And I think as people, slowly but surely like learn about these things, or they get curious, or they see, crazy. What does PWCC say when they don't sell something but it sells? They're like record breaking sale or whatever, not paid for, but record
Yeah.
breaking sale. They see one of those that's a Snap Magikarp. They're like, what is this N64 graphic? Like, why is this like so expensive? And that kind of stuff, I think, will eventually. It's not going to cover the mass market, but I think it's exciting to see people find out about those for the first time. Like that's what keeps me excited.
Yeah, it is really exciting to see. If you are following the vintage stuff and seeing some of these cards just randomly show up, and like you said, the Snap promo that there at Snap card that showed up, it was like, how where did this come from? Nobody, I don't think, like you said, nobody
Mm-hmm.
even knew it was around. I mean, I think it was almost presumed, like you said, that nobody kept track of it and didn't even know it existed, and all of a sudden it showed up, and nobody had documents of this thing, and it was just presumed that it was probably all gone by anybody that maybe knew about it, just because nobody had one, or there was no recent sales or no availability of it through this whole, even through this boom. You would think some of these cards, it's hard to believe that through what we went through from 2020 all the way through until now, that all of
That
these
didn't
cards
pull it
hadn't, at
out.
least that someone didn't pull it out, that it hadn't showed up until now. It's like,
Yeah.
why did they wait, through all this boom to sell it now versus when we were in the hype of everything?
Well, when it
Whether
comes
it's
to
money.
trophies, I understand it because it's looked down upon in Japan
Yeah.
to do that. That's why a lot of them stay anonymous.
Yep.
Um, for something like a Snap card, I guess there could be an element of that, like I'm a winner of this, like whatever. But I mean, you had to be like 7 years old. Like it's like unless you were an
Yeah.
adult, like playing Pokemon Snap. But um, yeah, it's just a different culture, man, different mentality. Money is
Yeah.
obviously important, but I just think it's more about um, the achievement, like a true trophy, like this
Mm-hmm.
symbolizes something. And for them to let that go, we saw the biggest money boom that we'll probably ever see in this hobby, like, in 2020.
Yeah.
So if that wasn't able to extract it out, I think a lot of it has been, I think the difference is why it didn't come out in 2020, maybe why it came out in 2022, is so many more people are interested and want to talk about it and want to see
Mm-hmm.
it. And a lot of people just have connections to so many different people. You look at Mr. Fuji, the guy like knows everybody, knows probably where all of these cards are. I mean, he set up like a museum in France that did like a private show and had a bunch of really cool stuff. I think when you start getting a lot of content around it, people are talking about it. That's where it piques their interest. It's like the recognition of how like important, how cool these cards are. I think is more important than just throwing a bunch of money at them. So I think that's what extracted it. I think somebody like saw something and was like, okay, this is cool. People appreciate this. It's been sitting in the box, binder, sleeve, probably not sleeved, whatever.
Well, probably not.
I'm going to take it to this bookstore. Yeah, I mean, that was a bit strange, but I think that's what's pulling some of these cards out. Obviously, there's cash out. That's always an incentive, but I think the incentive, along with the, I guess what I call kind of newfound mass interest in things like that, I think that's a big motivation, for those people to let them go finally. So, but they're still patient. There's still so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like there are guys who literally like shift markets, like with the amount of stuff they have, like especially Snap cards. Like there's guys who have like, 15 of a card and like
Yeah.
have talked to people know about this person, but they're not like letting this out. That's like they try to keep it kind of hush hush, but it's yeah, you get screenshots of conversations. Like they don't want to say like, hey, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many out here. Cause again, it affects everybody who only has one or their
Right.
contact, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we, talk about with a lot of those cards, especially when you're going down on the vintage for certain specific cards. People could hold enough of them to manipulate a market. It you know,
And
like
they do, yeah,
trophy,
for
and
sure.
they do. I mean, we know of people that hold really good quantities and really hold high numbers of those specific cards, and they could leverage the market. All of a sudden, they list one for a certain price. Like you said, there might be one or two that they don't own, and they could almost bring those other ones out of the woodwork if they want them. Because if
No,
they've got the
they just
leveraging
use
power,
they use the quantity feature on eBay.
yeah,
It's like
there you go.
you've never seen one.
15.
It's like 12 plus. It's like what?
Yep. And I mean,
Like
they
if
could,
they wanted to.
yeah. And I mean, if you think about it though, if they wanted to get the last few, and if they had the capital to do it, they could list one of theirs really high, which would then essentially, if someone's sitting there with one of the other trophy cards, not realizing that this person has, 14 of the 16 of them, they could sit there and try and pull them other two out of the market to find them. Because all of a sudden one person says, oh man, these are going for some stupid number. If the guy sits there and says, if I lose one of them at $80,000, fine, but this guy comes out and lists it for that, I can pull the last two of this specific one and have a full market share of one of them, and you wouldn't even know it. I mean, it'd be hard to prove.
You saw it with PWCC auction blocks. That's the hard part about not being able to know what's going to be around. A lot of these trophy buys are large group buys, realistically. A lot of people like to imagine the secret like multimillionaire just doing this, like buying up all the expensive Pokemon cards. It's not just Steve Aoki, guys. Like there's other people. But I think that I guess the big thing is like whenever they all hit the market like that, when there's multiple people's money involved and they're not all confident that, hey, I don't know if I really want to go out and buy this because I mean there was one that was just here 2 weeks ago. This is supposed to be one of the rarest cards ever. And I think that's where you start seeing them go for lower prices. And then they just sit at that point.
Yep. Because people just don't know. I mean, that's it. And like I said, that's one of the cool things. They show up. They're nowhere near my market price. I mean, I'm nowhere near ever right now buying a trophy card, but it's cool to see.
I like houses.
Yeah, exactly. I'd probably buy real estate before I buy some of those, some of them trophy cards.
Depending on where it is. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And in today's market with the mortgage rates, I don't know about that. Maybe a trophy card is better, but
hey, give it to me at 2%. I'm all right. Hey, Mason had actually a really, really good question.
What's that?
Let me scroll back up here. Where are you, Mason? Is Pokemon better to market? Or wait, no, I'm sorry, not Mason. Felipe, he said, is Pokemon better to market to kids or focus on adults? I like that question a lot, actually. It's tricky. I won't necessarily say that it's better to kids, and it depends on really what you're talking about marketing. If you're talking about marketing cards, there has to be a balance. As of today in 2022, it's adults, in my opinion. And by marketing, I mean, you still release your normal sets, but like it's okay to have a $120 product to buy. Look at the UPC. I mean, like sold out immediately, constantly sells. It was just a huge, win. And I personally have never seen at least an English release product that's been at that price point. I could be wrong. I probably didn't follow something, but $120 is a lot of change for a 8-year-old kid ready to rip some packs. You know what I mean? And it paid off for them. If you're talking about the IP as a whole, of course, it's got to be kids because you have to plan for future retention of generations. Because I think that's where a lot of IPs fall off. They only pay attention to the people that stayed with them in the beginning, and then they lose track of the younger generation. And then it's just poof, your old guys collecting coins. Like that's pretty much what it is. Like you can't keep up. So that's what I would say on that. Cards, I think it's got to be a little bit more keen to adults right now. The actual movies, the TV show, the video games, keep them with kids. I mean, that because you got to keep the nostalgia alive for the adults too.
Yeah, I mean that's personally, I feel like Pokemon has been doing, the last 2 years, of course, just been craziness, but even prior, I feel that Pokemon really focused on gameplay. They really focused on the kids that were playing the games, and they really kept it going for the younger generation that was coming up. If you were older, you could always come in and join in and be part of it. But as time moved on, you could sit there. There was always something for everybody in Pokemon and just continue to move forward. And now what I'm seeing is, especially after the boom and after all these new people came in, It seems like to me they like the alternate arts. Alternate arts are designed for adults. They're designed for the older, the older generation coming back. It's a chase card. It's expensive. They can be very expensive depending on the popularity of them and the pull rates of them. But it gives the adults that chase, something to buy. But yet it doesn't disrupt from the younger generation who watches the anime or just getting into the anime or wants to start playing in TCG. It doesn't distract from their ability to be able to play and be involved in it with that factor. They could pull one of those cards and be way ahead.
I don't know if alt arts are really made for adults though. I think it's just a chase. I don't know if that's going to segment, because realistically, like, it's like saying Charizard when base set came out was made for adults. It was just the card to chase. Like, I don't think they even think that hard into it. I think it's more about what is the price of the product that you have to buy. And I think you see this in sports, and you might even see it in Magic. I can't remember if Rudy said something about this, but I could be thinking of something entirely different. But like sports, they have specific boxes that are like $1,000 for the chance of pulling something. That's a true like market to adult. Like we're here for our high-end sports collectors, and I'm a big fan of that stuff. I'd rather not see $1,000 Pokemon product, but whether they put it at MSRP at 1,000 or it gets resold at 1,000, like you're going to spend that much if it's a good item. But I think that chase cards in particular, I can kind of see the point of like it's so hard to pull. It's like it's for adults that get in there, but I think that's just truly like something to get excited about. I think it's just like, yeah, maybe the older kids who are into it, I would say maybe, because they pay attention to that. They're looking at slabs at like 12. So like, I think it's just a different mentality than what we had as kids. I pulled, everybody's traded away that like amazing card back in the day. Cause it's like, I remember I told this, I can't remember what it was. It was like I think I traded like a base set Gyarados or something for like a Hitmonlee because I thought he looked cool. It was like a hollow Gyarados. I'm like, I'll take your Hitmonlee, like, whatever. And just, little stuff like that we didn't care about. But I think having a chase is a fairly uniform thing. Maybe not adults, but I can see what you mean. Like maybe in those later teen years.
Well, I think the artwork itself, I mean, it really does. The actual alt art itself is really focused for adults because of that chase. The price you're going to have to pay for that chase. It gives someone like our age to sit out there and really want to maybe chase that or purchase that card. But I mean, you're really going to try and buy product, try and get that. Honestly, even I'm going to be 100% honest. My son, he's 8 now, and he doesn't care about alternate arts. I brought that up. He just doesn't. He doesn't even realize.
He wants vintage PSA 10s only. You've raised him right. Yeah. Good on you. He's like Japanese exclusives only.
Jackson.
Get this recycled card. Yeah, stamp collections. He's like, throw that in the recycle. Yeah. Let's go after the gains, Dad. Like that's what we're doing.
That's where I laugh. I mean, that's why I have been putting away rainbow rares, is because to someone under the age of, probably under the age of 10, even maybe right around that 12, like you said, around 12, you start getting a different mindset on things, which is when Pokemon was released. I was about 12 going almost 13 at that point. So your mindset kind of changes to, you start understanding money at that point, and you start understanding financial things, and you start having to use maybe some of your own money to do things. But before that, like I said, alternate arts to him, he's gone through packs and he's just, it had a white code card, but it had nothing in it. And he threw the packs, because he didn't understand that card at the end was an alt art.
Like, why is dad in the trash can? What's he doing?
Yeah, don't do that. But I mean, he always shows me the packs, but it's just funny because he's just like, I don't, he always wants that rainbow rare or that gold card, or even like Shining Fates was great for him because he liked the baby shinies because they were really flashy when you got them out. So, it's kind of like when I go for investment, look at something 15, 20 years down the road. What am I going to be buying? Well, I'm putting away rainbow rares. I'm putting away gold cards because when he gets back in, it's like us with the hollow Charizards and the hollow gold stars. Why do we remember those? Well, because they were the flashy cards that you used to pull. Here's gold stars where the Peekdachu's standing partially out of the border on the card, and all of a sudden, with his arms crossed in it, and these characters are popping out versus being, subtle in the borders like they used to be. So they were just subtle changes.
They just look cooler. Yeah.
They just look cooler. It was just, and then they caught your eye, and you wanted to get them because they caught your eye. And that's exactly where, what catches a kid's eye, someone under the age of 12? Well, rainbow rares
Shiny.
and gold cards instantly. Anything shiny, they're on
Shiny,
it. And
sparkly.
even full arts. Yep,
Yeah,
shiny object.
what's interesting too is when I came back in the hobby, I never looked at any set card. Shocking for some people who, hear how I talk about set cards in general. But um,
Mm-hmm.
so when I was a kid, I would just look up all these crazy Japanese cards, like the 97 JR Stamp Rally. Sorry, people, I will shill this stuff to the moon for the rest of my days. Like, I think it's one of the coolest releases ever. I remember looking up pictures of like that lily pad view and thinking like that was the coolest thing ever. And it like blew my mind that like you couldn't open a pack like and actually get it. Like that's what was like amazing to me. So like I think there's going to be, and again, like you said, people are always going to come back to that stuff, right? But I think
Mm-hmm.
that unless we start getting some kind of like exclusive, cool backstory, like don't
Yeah.
buying $20 at a Pokemon Center and give me a promo. It's a start, but like give me something that like if you go to Worlds, you'll get a spectator card. If you go to Worlds and you compete, you get a competition binder with all your stamps on it. Like give me something to where it's like, and especially with Pokemon Go. I mean, and they may have done this. I really haven't looked too much into it, but like give me event specific stamped promos. Like I just don't understand why that's so difficult to do. Um, I know they do certain stuff when they like open Pokemon centers and stuff, which is cool. I like that. But like, give me some event. Give me some like the old A&A Airlines promos. If I fly on a certain airline, like give me an American Airlines like Pikachu or something. Like, just do something like cool,
Yeah.
unique, like that I can be like, I was flying on vacation to
Mm-hmm.
Denver and it was, within the 8-week span they were releasing these cards. And I actually got you know, um, the stewardess to give me like an extra set. So I got all 4 copies like that. That's like fun to talk about. And I think that there's going to be people who, even like myself, like I read that stuff and I'm like, man, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, they're still here. You can still buy them. Like people didn't hoard them, like, the gold in their treasure chest or whatever. And I just think you have to have both what you're saying and both what like I'm saying when it comes to those
Yeah.
that exclusivity, that cool story, that non ripping out of a pack excitement. And it's just not here right
Yeah.
now. Like it's just not.
Yeah. I mean, unless you move to Japanese, you're just not getting that. You
Yeah.
don't get that exclusivity. You don't get that here in the English stuff. And like you said, I think it's cool they're finally releasing the special delivery Charizard, and I hope my code shows up, and I hope I get a code. I don't guess I'm not even sure how they're doing that. If did they put up the advertisement until they got rid of all the cards, or is it going to be the lottery like they did with the Bidoof, or
It was
what
only, yeah,
what's
because it was only 3 days, and I don't think it's
yeah
like everybody gets one. It was only up for 3 days, which from what I've read is not normal. Like that was a lot like limited,
yeah
which is good. Keep it up. Like, and I think within 12 weeks, everybody who gets it gets a code. They even sent out that email. Like, if you're one of the lucky few who have already gotten your code, like build that desire. Because you know what I'm gonna do? Like, and I'm saying I as in like general people, I'm gonna immediately subscribe to Pokemon Center emails. I'm going to check it all the time. I'm going to be more engaged because I don't want to miss out on that next one. You
yep
know, if a set gets released, it's going to be everywhere. Like I can go buy that. Oh, I didn't even have to look at Pokemon Center's website. You know, the YouTube algorithm just found it and told me, and I watched the content creator. And that's the thing that's different. It's like, it's almost like organic engagement and like algorithm engagement or just like popularity engagement. Like you can't help but see it. Like everybody knows like really popular songs that you didn't seek out. And that's almost how Pokemon sets are for me now. Um, like it's just, I don't know. It's a bit bland at the moment. Now the arts on some of these things are cool. Like I like specific singles, but the overall excitement for like, this is brilliant start. Like, it just doesn't, it's not exciting for me personally.
Mm.
And it's probably
and
different for other people.
that's
Some people love like new
yeah
sets. Some people are like, this is the set, like, and that's cool. But
yeah
like before it even comes out, the other one's announced. Like, do you stay excited? Like, I can't understand that personally.
yeah and and I think everybody's kind of different too on the excitement level of a set. For me, Evolving Skies, before when it was first getting the stuff announced, you were seeing Eevee Heroes is going to be in it. you got to see all these cards and the alternate arts that were supposed to be in that set and everything like that. There was that hype for me because I like evolutions. I mean, my first big card was Flareon. I love Flareon, so of course I'm a big evolutions person, and that's where I always sit there and I say, certain sets always draw certain people, and the number of people that are drawn to a set tells me whether or not that set is worth looking at for a long-term hold, whether I want to invest in that. And the problem is then you go to another set, like, for example, like I said, with Astral Radiance. It's kind of a blah set to me. There's nothing in that set that I really have any interest in because I'm not, and I know that they're putting the alternate arts like Arceus and Palkia and Dialga and now Garantina are all coming in because, of course, they're doing the Diamond Pearl, release again, or the nostalgic set. So that's why them are all coming back. So they're trying to get them in these sets. But I would never made it to Diamond Pearl in my, when I was playing or back in the past. I left in Gold Stars. I never made it.
A lot of people didn't. Yeah, a lot of people. That's why the pops are so.
That's when I was in EX. So Diamond and Pearl really, it wasn't that big of a deal. Rayquazas are cool. I like Evolving Skies for Rayquaza because I remember chasing the Rayquaza Gold Star and all that back in the day too. But what
a sick art, by the way. Like,
oh yeah,
like
the original Rayquaza.
Oh yeah, man! Like
the
such
Gold
an
Star?
Epic scale, like the size scale they make him in that is so awesome. Yeah, that's one of the few. Like there are set cards that stand out to me. I just, when I see like a 200 something card set, and I'm like, there's one card that I care about in this, like
Fusion Strike,
right? And not even just care about it, right? And not even just care about but like, and I keep kind of tying into Dragon Ball because that's the only other real modern product I've opened recently in recent times. I can appreciate the art on so many cards in that set, like to the point of like, again, I'm like, was this the hit? Did I do it wrong? Like, that's a good problem to have because I'm stopping and I'm slowly going through these because I'm enjoying them. I've opened a few modern boxes of Pokemon and I'm just like, yep, whatever. Yeah. Where's the holo? Where's whatever? Like, it doesn't mean anything. And I think when you don't have, I'm a huge fan of like Skyridge art. I think that like, when you can make Muck look cool, no offense to the Muck collectors here, but like, it's like when you can make him look badass, like I'm going to look at every art in there. Like, and I enjoy so many of the arts in that. And that's all subjective, obviously, but I just think they were more creative. I think they were more, it's like they cared about the Pokemon they were doing art for, and we actually had a really, really funny Discord voice. I know Mason was in there and a few other people, but where I actually went through for the very first time the entire Pokédex of Pokemon. And if anybody has followed these streams, like, and you can laugh at me all day, it's so hard for me to know any Pokemon after the 151. Like there's maybe 10. You show me a photo, it could be the most popular thing ever. I'm like, I have no idea what this is. But we went through and I picked out like all the ones that I thought were just absolutely ridiculous Pokemon. And it was so funny because it was like, most of it was like the most lazy take on an animal or like just, whatever. I'm just like, how is this exciting? Like, not that every single one has to be like amazing. And I actually, one that just came out, the key Pokemons that are just like a key, like somebody like brought that up and I was like, yeah, it's just
a pile of sand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like,
a sand castle. Yeah. I mean, it's just,
it was just strange because I'm like, and again, they kind of put themselves in a hole because they have to come up with all these new ones. But it's like, I just feel like, again, going back to my original point of like these other T's and MetaZoo is actually the prime example of this. And like, I've bought MetaZoo. I have no like thoughts about it stalking anymore. Like really, I did the more recent Kickstarter for like the poker cards because I like poker cards. I like poker chips. I think it's cool. I did get an uncut sheet, which I may just let Catch 'em All Collectibles Dan keep because I don't know if I want an uncut sheet of Pokemon card or not Pokemon, but poker cards. But
MetaZoo, yeah.
But I think that they have a cool thing going for them because with cryptids, like you actually have characters, like you have, lore and UFO and like they depict like different scenes and then they just like parody things like they've got like I think Rudy has a card in that like random stuff. Like it's fun. It's like it doesn't take itself too serious. It doesn't try to force things. And I think it's not just exclusive to MetaZoo. I think a lot of other TCGs are like we can create original characters with designs and lore that is interesting. And there's just so much, like, it's almost like the Pokédex has bulk in it. It's like, why are these all in here? Like, who's going to catch the sandcastle? Who says I'm going for the key Pokemon? Like, it's just strange to me.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I know I'm like probably coming off like a bit negative at a lot of it, but it's just I want to be like transparent, like my personal thought process of like what gets me excited in it, because I love collectibles and I try to get into a lot of them, but um, it's just more kind of, for anybody who's maybe starting to feel a little bit of that like burnout, apathy, like whatever, like it's normal. It doesn't mean you don't like Pokemon. It just means like you need to scratch an itch that they can't do that with. So like it's okay to expand and take a look at it. And once you start looking at other TCGs, there's good ideas. There's like really solid stuff that they do that once you see that, you're like, if Pokemon did that, I'd be all in again. Like that'd be the only thing I'd be going after. So yeah, it's just an interesting thing when you start getting outside of that world.
Yeah, and once again, Pokemon's driving the bus at this point.
Oh, Mason, I love it. A pile of sand. It's a
Yeah.
haunted sandcastle inhabited by drowned ghost children. Respect the lore. Yeah, Mason was really like giving me a hard time because I would just pick ones and even if like he's just trolling me, he's like, no, it's this. It's not a sombrero on his head. It's his he just had all the background,
Yeah.
which is cracking me up. It's pretty great.
Well, yeah, and I mean the pile of sand, of course, that's if you watch the anime, which I've been pretty much up to date now because my son really likes it, so I'm pretty much caught up with it. But yeah, that's where the anime, the pile of sand, has the backstory behind it with the ghosted children running it. Yeah, but no, it's pretty. But like I said though, cryptids are cool. The one thing I don't like about MetaZoo is the one thing I don't like about MetaZoo is I like the cryptids. I like that they have, how many cryptids are there? I mean, they got thousands of cryptids that you could pull into this game, which is cool. I don't like the way that MetaZoo started. And that's my only concern is that...
You don't like the way it started?
Like how they began, like how they got the product out. It became an investor set so fast. Like instantly, it was an investor set and not a playable set. Nobody could afford to play it. So the first, when Cryptid Nation came out, everybody was buying it to hold it for an investment.
But they pretty quickly released like regular Cryptid Nation, if I'm not mistaken. Like not that long after.
They did second edition after that. They actually, I think that before they released Unlimited, I believe the second one was out. I think Nightfall was out before they released the second version or the Unlimited version of Cryptid Nation. Because still, even at Walmart, you can buy the second edition sets that are out there. Because Cryptid Nation's the only one that they did a second edition.
Yeah, I'm not going to shill them hard or anything like that. But it's hard to say because there's so many like asterisks to this statement. I still like respect what Mike did with that. And to be fair, like there's Kickstarter is where you launch these now. Like it's just the new, and it's hard for us to like, I had a conversation with Dan and a few other people about this. Like to say like, I'm going to start a TCG and you've got the highest grossing franchise of all time that just dominates that market. How do you do it outside of like a Kickstarter or building that hype or building that excitement? Because I think it's less about, I think what a lot of people think with MetaZoo, and myself was included in this, in the beginning, that Mike's goal and MetaZoo's goal is to make everything stock. Like everything's going to do what Kickstarter Cryptid Nation did. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's like, I think they ran up the hill as fast as they possibly could so they could get to the top and then go, more, not downhill in pricing, but like they could coast a little bit more. Because once you have that excitement and you've bought enough people into it and people see the demand and they, people are attracted to demand. We talk about it all the time. I'm super into the chase. Is it hard to get? I'm going to go after it. I bought a Kickstarter Cryptid Nation pack. I graded the first I can't even remember what the Pokemon was, or not Pokemon. I can't even remember what the cryptid was at this point. I'd have to look back at it. Very first one in the pop in the registry. It came back a 6, which was bullshit because there was nothing wrong with that card. But
Huh.
the thing is like I can't think of, I mean, and maybe you can give me maybe an idea, like how else could a TCG succeed? Because I haven't seen another TCG that hasn't followed that. Cryptic did the same thing. There was another one that was just a bunch of like, really a waifu set is what I'll call it. I looked at the photos and was like, I hope my wife doesn't walk up here and look at this and was like, what are you looking at? Because it was like, it was just ridiculous, like lewd art. But
Mhm.
like, how do you do that outside of doing what MetaZoo did? I guess would be my question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that, so for me personally, to see a TCG be successful, you look at Pokemon, you look at the successful TCGs, and they all start with gameplay, or they start with an anime. They have a base, some kind of base moving forward. So Pokemon had an anime and gameplay. Nobody really invested in Pokemon when it first came out. Everybody bought it because they were excited to play it, get the cards out. Even if they weren't playing, they wanted to collect the full sets or collect the master sets. You know, my one friend that we used to open cards with, he collected all the master sets. He's got all these in binders, no card, sleeve protectors, but they're in binders, and they've been there since 99, 2000 when these cards came out.
A true collector.
Yeah,
One of the
a true collector. He never
I don't
played.
need sleeves. I don't need sleeves. Give me the binders and I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. But back in the day, that's what you did. But I mean, I played. He collected, and
I played as well.
That,
I played a lot.
Yeah, but you built that base of actually people using the cards in the hobby. Even Pokemon First Edition wasn't really available very long. Unlimited came out really fast behind First Edition. Cryptid Nation came out with First Edition. Then they did that little run of Second Edition. And it almost took, 3 months, 4 months? There was almost a gap because all that stuff got bought out so fast that nobody played it. You didn't build that base of players that slowly use the cards and get you familiar with the cards. And then they start to go, well, I want to collect these cards. And then, okay, well, now I want to start, grading these cards. And you kind of kept building this. They tried, the one thing I didn't like about MetaZoo, and I'm still not real popular about it, is they went, okay, we're going to stick everything up on top of the shelf and we're not going to put anything down below. And we're going to hope that the top supports all these investors who are now, let's just say a TCG fails. Let's say they don't get enough players to justify it. Okay, nobody's doing tournaments. We still don't have any MetaZoo tournaments here. Nobody's playing it in our area. So at what point is it no longer a TCG and you're trading cardboard? It's a paper form of cardboard trading and not actually a TCG.
So here's a couple of thoughts on that, where I'm at, because I'm going a little bit different way with it in my thought process. But I'm glad to hear it this way, because this is something I think, most of the streams I see where somebody talks MetaZoo and the other person maybe is not a fan of it, it's just like, it sucks. No, it doesn't. It sucks. No, it doesn't. So I have no interest in that. But my big thing is with what they did. So you talked about, like, when Pokemon First Edition came out, it wasn't out. Or Base First Edition came out. Rock First Edition came out. It wasn't out very long.
Yeah.
So my thought would be, is it a timeline thing? What like preceded like Pokemon before that? Magic, all player base, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh.
So like yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I've never been into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, they were about the same time, yeah. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh came out in, I believe, 95, 96.
Okay, so like right around, let's say, the same time, right? So the thing is yes, they had animes behind them, and they had, you've got to have people playing it. That's just how you got kids back then, right? Mm-hmm. But also, people didn't have internet. Like, it's hard to even think about this. Cell phones, like all of that. We faxed. Like, that was the thing. Barely had email a few years after it came out. So I think what it is you had to get people to play because there was no other medium to engage in that hobby. So I think the strategy, you're right, that was the, that was the process. That's how you did it. Yeah. But I don't think that applies in 2021 or 2022. Like, I think, what was MetaZoo, 2021? I don't think that, and I think that Magic has kind of shown this, that when you focus primarily on players, the market of collectibles, at least when it comes to cardboard, has completely shifted. Like in my opinion, the player bases, I think, on all of these TCGs. I can't really say that about Pokemon because there are a lot of people that play, but I would say the percentage of collectors versus players maybe it was a little bit more 50-50 back then, maybe even more players than collectors, probably, at least when I was a kid. But I just think that they followed the correct market trend, which is people want hard to get demand stuff. They don't set secondary prices. MetaZoo did not come out and make this shit expensive. You just had to be there. You had to believe in it, and you benefited from it. Sure, did content creators, like Rudy and other guys, like did they sold it for a little bit higher price? Sure, but the demand was there. It was. I'm not going to say it was 100% organic because everybody can read markets, and there's always people that are going to take advantage of that, which I'm not against. I mean, it is what it is, capitalism. But I just can't see. I think they went backwards. I think they truly turned it on its head in every single way they could. And the fact of like, let's make it a collectible card game. We'll worry about the player base after that. And right now, I think in the 90s, the primary thing is to get players involved. I think in the 2020, 2021, it's about getting collectors involved first. I think it's just flipped. And I think it was a excellently, really executed well. Because you're starting to see, they've got, I forget what the prize money is, and Basic is in here. He can probably do. I think he went to their championship, and I think he plays fairly regularly. I know he plays with his kids a lot. He says it's really fun once you get to understand it, and they have that tournament prize of like 250K or something now. So I think they're now starting to put that effort into it. They just went backwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was wrong. I think it was just you just.
And I'm not saying their tech. Yeah. I'm not saying their technique was wrong. It's just a little bit more concerning to me when you build an investor base and that investor base is trying to suck everything up to it and trying to raise prices away from so hard that you may not ever get that base underneath you. And like you said, them putting the tournament thing, that was a huge thing that they did later, was really push that part, right? They put out the tournament prizes. They've tried MetaZoo. I think MetaZoo almost realized themselves too. We have got to get the TCG playing or it's not going to succeed. It's just going to be a tradable card. It's not going to be a TCG any longer. It's just going to be a cryptid card that people are trading. And that's why I think they did put out that prize money. They really tried to. And look, he just put the prize pool down there.
$1.25 million, man. Like, you want to attract people to just do, I can go play this game. Like, escalated fast, seriously. But you know what? What's nice is it's like, and again, I don't want to come off as like a bit of shilling MetaZoo for anybody in the chat. Like, I'm truly, I really have a very objective opinion with MetaZoo and most TCGs. Everybody gets flack, everybody gets praise. So like, it makes me think like, I forget how much the original Kickstarter did, like monetarily wise, or whatever monetary gain they had, but it's obvious that to put out a $1.25 million prize pool for something that's still so new.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around for what? Maybe coming up on 2 years, if that. 2020, 2021. Somebody correct me.
Cryptid Nation was
I want to say
released.
Kickstarter was 2021, early 2021, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna say Kickstarter.
It's obvious that they've taken the money that they've made in building all of this, and they're at least putting it back into the player base now.
Yeah,
like they don't have to put $1.25 million. Like, that's a really expensive price. I don't even know what Pokemon's is. I don't think it's that high. I could be wrong, but I thought it was like 50 grand or something. I could be way off, but $1.25 million is a chunk of change. I mean, that's like esport money, And again, it just seems like they've got a lot of younger generation people that are like, this is the next thing. This is what all the quote unquote kids are doing. Like, and it just seems like they're following suit. Now, granted, will that give them long-term stuff?
We don't know.
I don't think it will unless they continue to stay up on trends consistently, which is a very big challenge. They can't do it with just the core game. And so I agree with you on that. But, again, promos, collectability, releasing the box, like the print amounts, like it's a really, really cool thing they do. And I think that a lot of TCGs can take take note of certain things they do, not everything. The NFT play is dumb, in my opinion. They released error NFTs, which I forget who it was that told me that. I was like, what is happening? It's like the NFT had a crack on it on purpose. I was like, come on, guys. That's just ridiculous.
And like I said, that's, you know, do I have Metazoo? I don't know if it's
me. I'm not getting any audio from you.
Did I lose audio? I'm still showing up on my end.
I think it's my headphones. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Or you can keep talking for chat. You don't have to wait on me. I'm going to fix that real quick.
Okay. But yeah, the one, well, kind of discussion. But yeah, I mean, the one thing it is with Metazoo is, and this is what I would say.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. What I would say with Metazoo is that's my only concern is that, you know, the fact that we got investors doing that, you know, they have to build a longevity base. You know, yeah, there's a huge prize money. If that continues and you can continue to get people in there, of course, it can become successful. But, you know, it's not that I don't like Metazoo, and I'm not going to say I have some Metazoo stuff around. I've, you know, picked up, and I think that it's good to.
Why'd you buy it? Why'd you buy it? That's what I got to ask.
Why would I buy it?
Why did you buy it?
Oh, for the potential. Okay. There's potential in it. I bought it for the potential.
It was an investment play. It was like, this might, I can make some money.
It was an investment play. I bought second edition stuff of Cryptic Nation. Once again, it's a limited print, a limited number. You know, I never got an opportunity at first edition. I wasn't willing to spend the money that it was going for at the time. But like I said, I look at it going, if it's successful, you know, you could see this 10, 15 years down the road being valuable. Or if it's not, I still have opened up now some unlimited Metazoo, and I enjoy it. It's cool. The cryptids are cool. I've been trying, you know, working on the gameplay to figure it out. So I've been doing that, you know, for the last couple months, just on my free time, which is not very much, figuring out how the gameplay works. And
I got kids
like
too,
that.
so I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, I know. Plus,
actually, when I walked away a second ago, I have my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and I had a 4-year-old sitting right behind my chair, just listening to me talk to you, and I was like, I'll be right back. So
we're PG, so we're good. We're all right. But yeah, that's just it though. That's just the point is that it needs to get a player base. If the player base is successful, it can be successful TCG. Am I buying stuff in it? Yes, of course. I think that there's an opportunity. Mike is a very smart person, and he's doing some of the things that I think are right. But there is also what's that?
In certain aspects, kind of like the Elon of TCGs, and the fact that he doesn't know when to stop talking. He needs to keep his mouth shut on certain things.
That's exactly it. But he's a funny guy, and his idea is different. It was a change. It was, you know, the way it was done is he released right in the middle of the Pokemon hype, or right when Pokemon was over its crest and kind of going downhill, and people were still spending money, right? People had money. And that's why part of the reason why that first edition Cryptid Nation went crazy. People had money. Oh, why not dump it into a chance? You know, another thing. People are gambling on investment, and they dumped all money into it, and it worked out really, very, very well for him. But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things. I think it's got chance. I think it's got a good opportunity. It's just got to get the finished steps. The prize money, good opportunity to maybe do that. You know, there's these kind of things like that.
Talking about building a player base. How many do you get in that didn't even consider? I mean, from other TCGs. I mean, you talk about market share, how we talked about earlier in the stream. Like, you want to take some Pokemon players away who, like, maybe, like, you know, they're in regionals or they never make it to like Worlds, or even if they do and they never place, they're like, I'm going to go play Metazoo. Like, and there's an opportunity there for them because, like, you know, it's still new, it's still fresh. People are still figuring out the game. Like, you don't have these veteran guys coming over from Japan, like stomping you, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. One thing I do want to touch on real quick. I think I missed a question from Mason, but I do need to clarify. He said, what's your take on the Scarlet and Violet box Pokemon? I don't really know what that means.
I think he means the starters.
Oh, they're awesome. I'm not going to say I'm like Quaxley crew because everybody's like super into it. But
which one? I'm trying to remember which one it is. If you look at the when the first photos came out of it, the eyes are off center. So one's kind of up and one's down. You don't notice it right away unless you really like look at the characters. The red one.
I
I don't know what the red one's called.
I don't either. I think it's like chick. Starts with a, or here it is. Hold on, I got it. Fue Coco. No way.
Flake
That's
Coco. That's what
hilarious.
it's.
Fire Croc Pokemon. I probably like him the best. I'm not really a fan of the cat or grass types. If you pick a grass type as your starter, like, come on, what are you doing with
So
your life?
we went from a fire cat and Sun and Moon to a grass cat and Scarlet
Grass
and Violet.
cat, Fire Croc, and a duck. The duck is cool. I like his hair. It's dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, yeah, Mason. I don't mind these designs though. I think that was back whenever I was talking about us going through the the sandcastle Pokemon or whatever.
He just
Legendary.
corrected it. He the legendary Pokemon on the box art.
Oh, dude, they look awesome. Yeah, I would definitely say the one on Violet. I don't know its name, but that's the one that I like more. It has like lightning bolt hair. The other one kind of has like cockatoo hair, like a chicken.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a neck. It looks like his chin just sits on his gut. Not super into that. I like the more finesse the other one has. I know it's got like a see-through stomach, but it just looks a little bit more looks cooler to me. Looks like it glows in the dark.
Yeah.
So I'm into that. I don't know if you have a preference at all, but that's my take on it.
I was trying to remember. I'm pulling it up right now.
Fire one is going to have a flame egg on its head, then a fire chicken final evolution. Torchic, be a $50,000 card soon. Quaxley takes the bread. That's hilarious. There's so many Quaxley fans. It just cracks me up. It's got to be the hair.
Yeah.
The
legendaries do look pretty. They're pretty interesting.
I think it would be cool. I think they're like a lot of these newer like legendary Pokemon that I've seen photos of, and I don't know like any of the names, guys. I'm sorry, but like I can't help but think of like Digimon for some of the ones I've seen. I'm like, it's just so over the top and too perfect, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think back to like Lugia or the legendary birds. Like that was so like mind blowing to see. It's like these things are like literally like amazing. Or Rayquaza even. Like he was like he looks amazing, like this massive sky dragon. Like, and now it's like let's just throw everything to. It's almost like they're just like let's take all these different like parts of Pokemon and stick them together and put it on a dragon body or put it on a big like Kangaskhan base body and like make it huge. Like it just I don't know. It's like when are we gonna get like the Pacific Rim looking like it's like they're almost here. Like I think. I would like to see, and this is like probably just the boomer mentality of somebody who grew up with it. Like it would be so nice to see like just give me some simple, like I'd love an eerie Pokemon. I'd love a scary one at some point, like one who's like, maybe a one of one, similar to like a Mew or a Mewtwo that just like stands off in the distance, like doesn't say anything, but just like decimates. Like that would be so cool to me.
Oh come on, they got Marshadow. It already does that.
I don't know who that is. I'm telling you, man. Marshadow?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Haven't you watched the aren't you up to date on the anime?
Dude, no. Not even I haven't even seen Detective Pikachu. I've seen clips because my daughter watched it. But I remember I went through like a phase of like, I'm gonna rewatch a lot of this. And I just couldn't get through it because I was like, not that it was a bad show. It just couldn't grab my attention. Because I was like, I wanted Ash to come in and like one punch man like everybody. I was like, why is he losing? I was like, I want this to be like, I want everybody getting wrecked. Give me where's Gary at? Like I want to see him like taking people out. But I think it's just more as an adult, like older, like I like to see like I don't know. I'm a big fan of movies that don't have happy endings. Like that's my favorite thing. Like 28 weeks later, like that style. Like I don't want to see I just want to see people get wrecked. Like that's really what it is. And that's not really a Pokemon anime thing, for the most part. Now the first movie was amazing. Like I really, really enjoyed that. The voice actor from YouTube was like phenomenal. No, I haven't seen this. Pokemon.
John Doe also pointed out Mimikyu. Because nobody's actually seen Mimikyu.
Mimikyu's cool. I actually do like that. Just the look of him is awesome. I don't know the lore behind him, but like that's probably the closest thing I enjoy that.
He wears a costume because to look at him would either scare you to death or shatter your mind. I don't remember which one it is. So all that you see is the front two holes are the eyes, and but he always mimics Pikachu because of Pikachu's popularity. That's why he wears the Pikachu costume.
Good toy to sell. But where's the rogue Mimikyu? Where's that one? What do you do at that point? Like that's where my brain goes. I'm like, where's the one that's like over humanity, over everybody? Like, not that it happens in the anime, but like, he comes out and it's like, the slow turn, and they've got to like sprint away, or
like the College Humor one where Ditto takes over everybody.
I haven't seen that, but that sounds hilarious.
Ditto just slowly keeps copying everybody in all the towns and takes over the world.
That's so awesome. It reminds me of you said College Humor was the one you saw it on. I think they did a video with the clown from Saw. If he was your roommate, and he like rolls and he's like, I want to play a game. The TV remote has no batteries. You have 2 seconds to get the food out of the microwave before it explodes, like something like that. It just cracks me up. You want a Pokemon that will shake you in the back alley? I get it. I mean, I like to have, like, especially in stuff that is really good feeling and like positive energy. Like, I like to have a scary, or like a force that's different than that. It just kind of keeps that contrast. Like, I thought Mewtwo was that, because he didn't care at all. I mean, so much so that Ash tried to like hit him with the Mike Tyson hook and got turned, to stone or whatever. But he tried to punch a Pokemon. Like, nobody thought, like, when does that happen? You know what I mean? And again, I haven't caught up. So if this stuff is out there, great. I should watch it. But I just like the idea of having a villain that gets away, or a villain that wins and gets away with their plan, or they like beat everybody, and then that's a challenge later down, that you can take on or something. I don't know. Yeah. Where my brain goes.
So and if you want to see something funny, look at the original, when they did the release of the characters from Scarlet Violet. Look at the cat. Look at the cat's eyes. It'll haunt you forever.
Of the starter you're talking about?
Yeah, if you look up the starter, or the Scarlet and Violet starter, they put the strip with the 3 of them on there in a row. Mm-hmm. The cat's eyes are like all wonky.
Oh yeah, they're off.
Yeah, one's up, one's down, one's kind of left.
Somebody's hurting the OCD here. That bothers me.
I know. It's like, what?
I don't like it. Why is this rat eye doing that?
Yeah, why is it? Yeah, what's going on? Why is one up, one down? You can't do this.
I just looked at another photo they released, and it's the same thing. That's weird.
They did it. Yeah, I didn't look at the newer ones. I just knew one of them, the cat, was just the eyes are all wonky. Okay,
so I love this. Shovel said Shining Gyarados, but it's a horror movie. How freaking cool would that be? Let's get some one-shot. Let's get some one-shot Pokemon animes, and do that. Like the first discovery of a Shining Gyarados, that would be like the origin story of this just ridiculously scary thing. It's scary to an extent. I'm not talking like hard R here, guys. We don't need that, but I'm saying really build that suspense. What a cool idea. That's awesome. I'm just reading the chat ideas here. They're killing it right now.
I know. They're having a blast. I'm actually just giggling at them over here with all this stuff. Mankey will stab you.
He said Mankey's a massive dickhead. That's pretty hilarious. Luigi was designed to look genderless with the creator of all life, but they gave it a male voice, and the creator was upset. Needle. Well, what are they supposed to do? Give it the voice changer from the original Xbox Live mic? I don't. Hello. It's just strange. Shining Weedle. Yeah, dude. So I guess kind of we kind of digressed a little bit there, but I liked it. I love when chat goes in and does a bunch of. I love movie ideas because I always try to stimulate those conversations myself. So that's funny.
I always laugh because that's what we were saying at we did a live a couple months ago, and we said, I hope that Professor Oak and I were doing a live, and we said we hope that Pokemon actually dives into some of these lives sometimes. Just watches the ideas that come across these streams, because they could get some really good ideas from listening to some of the streams and just people talking about this stuff.
I'm sure that they're engaged to a certain extent. They can't not be to be good at their
they
job,
have to be.
Shanky.
but it's like some shanky. Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. I love it. Yeah, there's a lot of there's so much fan made stuff out there, man, and it's just they do take certain
Mhm.
parts of it, but when you're that large of an IP, it's hard to justify taking chances because we're not talking about like, oh, that kind of bombed, we'll just do the next one. Like you're talking millions and millions and millions of
Oh yeah.
dollars. So when you're kind of handcuffed like that, I think it's tough. That's why I always support like any fan made stuff that's on YouTube, like animated things that people do, because it comes out of this desire where you and I can just like, oh, they should do this, or like I wish they would do this, and these guys just like do it. It's not to that tier because they don't have an entire studio, but there's some guys I follow that do like Mastar Media is one guy who I'm not really a huge fan of as a person, but he does really good work. He made his own anime called Demon Slayer. He had like a bunch of Japanese voice actors that were super high level, and then he created like his own CC or his own TCG for it. Like just little stuff like that, I think is where the next like innovation comes from. And I don't know if we'll get the MetaZoo anime. I think Mike might have teased that at some point. Like, but it's yeah, it's cool to see new stuff. I guess that's really what it is. Like it's fun to see like interesting ideas and not the same thing copy pasted over and over and over again.
Yeah. I'm just reading through. Yeah. I like John Doe's idea for the Ditto. That'd have been cool to have a Ditto card.
Ditto on the front, different Pokemon and a possible rare after peeling the Ditto off. They could have made the Pogo Ditto. That's true.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
That would have been cool to see the rare underneath it, pull it back and here's your, Mewtwo alternate art or, something under behind it is actually hidden underneath
Instant PSA 6s all day.
Yeah.
Talking about a print line. Talking about a print line like nightmare.
Glue lines.
Ridiculous. Oak is actually the CEO.
I don't know. I haven't actually handled those. I've had one Ditto card and I have not peeled it yet.
So yeah, I've seen people opening those. I think I saw Pokey Chloe going through those and a couple people like doing reels on Instagram and just losing their minds over the Ditto peel card. But I don't really know how rare it is. I don't know how is that common? It seems like a lot of people find them. But I could be wrong. I don't know. There's so many different versions of a rare card to pull. That's what makes it tough for me.
Well, Pokemon Go, I laughed because I bought 2 ETBs and I put one away. I bought 2 of the EV premium collection boxes. I put one. I wanted to save one for later, and I opened one. And on both those products, I pulled the Mewtwo alternate art out of both of them, and the Radiant Charizard, and the Radiant Blastoise, and the Radiant Venusaur. So I literally have pulled. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, I'm done. I actually made money on a set right off the bat.
From opening it myself. This is amazing.
From opening myself. This never happened. So, because I always buy product.
Did you send anything to PSA, by the way?
Have I sent? No, I did not send anything to PSA yet.
For the 18? I've been watching a lot of people talk about what they've sent. I found that really interesting. I watched Radar and Dan streams, which, how cool is it to see Radar back on YouTube for anybody who...
Yeah, I know. It's been awesome.
During that hiatus, I'm so happy that he's it's like every day almost I see a Radar stream or something. I'm like, man, how cool. Yep. I think he was actually live whenever we went live. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why didn't you send anything? Did you just decide like, I don't know if you grade as much. I'm assuming you do in the investment side of it, but
I used to grade, before all this, I used to grade quite a bit. I mean, I used to do it a lot. The thing is that I guess I really don't have... Most of my stuff right now is in sealed. I do have some singles. And most of them, the problem is if they get the 10, they're going to be valuable. They'd be worth grading. If they miss and get the 9, I'll pretty much break even.
Break even.
And it's like, why, to me, in my opinion, they're going to get another jumble of cards again. They're going to go into a backlog again, which is what their goal was with this whole thing. They'll get through that backlog.
You think that was the goal, to get into another backlog?
I think so. They wanted to get busy. They were running out of stuff to grade, and they hired all these people. They bought all this equipment. They did, expanded their facilities in order to handle this. So July, they decided, well, let's do $18. We'll get a bunch of people because we're PSA, and of course we're the top dog, and now you're $3 more than CGC. You can jump in on this. they brought in all this now they're going to create small backlog. And I think they actually said if you do the $18 grading, I think they have, was it 18 to 24 weeks or something that they have on the time frame for grading on it? I think if you look,
It's 150 days.
150 days. So yeah, right around there.
6 months if you include weekends. So it's interesting you say that. I don't know if you watched retro and old card shops.
Yep.
I forget what it's like, Cardboard Hands or something. I can't remember what the name of their podcast is, but I watch it all the time. But Josh said the same thing. Old card shop. He was like, and this is the part that like I was like, I didn't like how much sense he was making, honestly. Where he's like, look, man, like this is where, they invested all this stuff. They've now gotten through the backlog. They have to supplement this labor. They have to supplement this expansion that they've done, and like however they, have made that happen. What I fear, I don't personally think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I know people have speculated of like it's 18 in July, and it's, it'll be 18 or not 18, but it'll be 10 in like December or something like that. Like they're going to go lower than what that special was. Yeah. I think that PSA to a certain extent doesn't give a shit, but I think it's similar to Pokemon and these other TCGs. PSA's had a lot of market share taken from them from CGC, like a lot. It's actually quite amazing what CGC has been able to do from being the junk slab and been able to separate itself from like SGC. I think it's HGA, if I'm not mistaken. Like CGC, for some reason, they are the ones who like have stood the test of time, and they've taken a lot of their business. I mean, they've taken a ton of it. So I think it was a combination with the 18. I think it was a combination of like, let's undercut these competitors to an extent. If it's $18 in the PSA and it's 18 to send to CGC, I'm sitting in PSA. I'm sitting in PSA all day. Like, why not? Unless it's a situation where, what does retro say is like, if it's bent, or if it's a dent, it's getting sent. Like talking about CGC, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
But I think what they'll do, and what I hope they'll do, actually, I should say it that way. What I hope they do is they have these specials at 18, at 15, at 12, and they periodically do that maybe once or twice a quarter. And that's how they supplement that and leave the grading costs at 30, like maybe drop it to 25, but give your collectors club people that you sold so many of those memberships to on the first drop. I hope that's the route that they go, because if they undercut people and their cards are still there at 18 and they're at 10 in November or December or something, I truly think like they will, like CGC will be frothing at the mouth, and they will, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they put out like marketing about it of like, we don't do this to you. Like that would just be something that would be like, even if they announced and they said, this is like, I wish they'd be transparent about it and say, here's how long we're locking this set. It's hard to say like, a year timeline, because obviously markets change, they fluctuate, et cetera. But to be able to say like, you will not get a price cheaper than this until 5 months from now. Until 5 months from now. Like, and even then it's a maybe. Like just to be able to give people that comfort of knowing like, okay, I was already kind of skeptical, I'm already sending, but that just gives you that extra layer of like, I know that like no one's going to come in and be able to undercut me at a later point if you're in the selling game, like, which I feel like most people sending mass quantities are. Somebody's not gonna be able to undercut me because they waited 3 months and I took the gamble and kept PSA going. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I sent 50 cards in at 18, and then I sent a couple more at 30 at that point. But I thought it was a great drop. I mean, it was surprising, kind of came out of nowhere, which was great. I don't even know if they announced it July 1st. I could be wrong, but I thought it was like after the first week of July or something. They were like, hey, by the way, until July 31st. So I think it's a good opportunity there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I had some really high-end cards, I probably would. Most of the high-end cards that I've got are, personal binder, and they're really not worth grading at that price. It's just balancing act. And like I said, my feeling is that this is going to be this quarter. So we just started the course, the third quarter. They're trying to get more business in. They're seeing a huge slowdown. They're hitting it. Okay. But you got to be a member this time. And then I see, okay, next quarter, what are they going to do? Next quarter, what are they going to do? Well, you can get $15 grading if you're a member. Oh, and you get $18 grading if you're not a member. And then the next quarter
I don't see that. I don't see that, man, because that is such a stark drop. And the thing is, like, you have to imagine how many people sent in cards at 18. And this is their
Yeah.
first run through at a price point that really is cheap. I mean, and I heard somebody talking about it the other day of like, and it made sense. You know, at $30, there's certain cards you're going to send. $18, that opens up a whole
Oh yeah.
level and tier of cards across so many different TCGs.
But you got to remember, they graded 4 million cards in what, 4 months, 3 months?
Were they at 1 million a month? I thought they were building up to it pretty close.
Like, I think that at the end they were doing over 1 million a month. So that tells you how much their grading capacity is. If you're a company who's got to get cards in, you have got to lower your price to a point where you continually get a flow of cards. And
it keeps them in business. I mean, I think
it does.
Back to 10. I just think you have to. Well, I keep saying I think you have to. Here's what I hope they do. I hope they slow roll that, and you can have like measured expansion into that amount, and you can slowly get down to a stable point of like, here's what our normal everyday volume is. Because here's the thing, once they get to 10, I don't know if I highly doubt they'll go under 10. Once they get to 10, there's really no more drops after that. No. And at that point, that's your real market. Like that is truly your real market.
I don't think they'll ever go back to 10. Number one reason why is the cost of consumables and the cost of employees. You know, their overhead went up too much. They're never going to go back down to 10. I see their stopping point being 15 now. At the lowest would be 15. I think they may run like a once a year special, maybe, where they would do $12 or $13. But I think at some point, in order to keep flow coming in, they're gonna have to get back down about that $15 range. And it all depends on you got to remember too, it depends on the price of the market. If all the market cards drop to a lower point and you get less cards that are gradable at even $18 without getting a perfect score, that reduces the number of cards that are coming to you. Like myself, I don't have any cards that I'm willing to really send at $18 yet, because if they don't get that perfect score, I'm gonna barely get ahead of what the cost was for me to do it. And then the time waiting possibly, 4 to 6 months to get these cards back, what's going to change in that market in that period of time also. Those are all concerns that I have on why it's really kept me away from it, is that speed. If that's the case, they have to drop their prices in order to get people to send cards. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. They're gonna have to drop them no matter what, for sure. Yeah. However, I think what supplements the downtrend market are the number of mediums that you're able to sell cards now, because we all know that there is no just like, here's what these cards sell for across all platforms. Yep. Like it just doesn't exist. No. Most of it's tracked on eBay. It's the biggest marketplace. It gives you the most general idea of the market.
Yep.
However, we've all seen PWCC auctions where 8s are selling more than 10s. Like you can go on and buy a 10 for less than you bought that 8 on PWCC pre-buyer's premium. Mm-hmm. You've also seen, and Whatnot is the biggest market shift that I've seen, because again, there's people who will buy these slabs at market when realistically that market maybe is even less than that, because they know that people are going to buy them. It's just a medium in which people need inventory now because of these platforms. I think that's what keeps people grading stuff. And I'm not saying that it won't impact it, obviously, if the market, the entirety of it goes down a little bit. But I think the mediums are almost like almost a semi safety net for it, because there's always going to be optimistic people that are going to say it's going to go up from here. These are great buys. I should grade this now and I'll make my money back eventually. And there's also people who go, I just need inventory so people can get pumped about this free giveaway and then spend $100 on a $50 slab, So I think it's a bit different. I think we're saying the same thing though, on the fact that like they do have to lower prices. I just hope that they do it in a step down
responsible fashion.
A responsible fashion that makes that stays true to the people who have supported this company, whether they wanted to or not. Because here's the thing, even at 15, I think they've got to go lower than 15. When you have CGC out there, like, what's to stop them from going, we're $10? And then at that point, it's like, oh, this is 50% less. Like, there's not a huge marginal difference between 10 and 15 when it comes to the tier of card that you're grading. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot. I mean, and CGC pristine 10s, like they sell.
Yeah.
Even 9.5s sell because people want to crack it and send it to PSA. So like they have a unique thing that's like people don't buy. I mean, sure, people buy PSA slabs to crack, usually 6s, but like higher value cards, like people buy 9s, 9.5s all day to crack and send to PSA. So it's just it's interesting the turn that CGC has taken with being able to not have a perfect store, but still have a demand there for that stuff, you know. But
and I don't know, you know, I'm seeing in the chat how they're talking about AGS, you know, and I don't know if you've seen the video. I just did AGS submission on my own just to check them out.
Oh, see how they did. How did it go? How many 8s did you get?
Only one, and I knew it should be. Otherwise, most of them were 9s and 10s.
Were they? So, you got 10s with AGS? Were they hollows?
Japanese.
I'm guessing that's a non-hollow.
What's that? No, that's a hollow.
Is that a non-hollow? I can't see.
That's that's the best trainer from VMAX Climax that we pulled that one out of VMAX Climax. My son and I did.
That's actually really surprising that you got a 10 out of them.
Yeah. But the one that I was not happy, two things I wasn't happy about with them, and I'll say this right now. For me, they shipped them back in a bubble mailer with no...
Just the slab? Just the slab itself? Just the slab and the bubble mailer?
I had 6 slabs. They sent them and they wrapped them. They didn't put them in an envelope, one of the protection sleeves. Mm-hmm. They just stacked them together, wrapped them with foam, jammed them in a bubble mailer, and sent them to me. So every one of them has got scratches and scuffs all over it.
How much is it to grade with AGS?
$20.
Flat tier, I'm assuming. Like
What's
no
that?
Turnaround, flat tier, or they have varying.
It was a 28 day turnaround time for it. That was their bottom, their economy line. If you went the other one, I think if you spend $30 on it, I think it is a 14-day turnaround. And if you spent $50 a card, that's plus the price of the card. Of course, they do just like PSA. Mm-hmm. So the price goes up based on that. Yeah, and then you can get it done and expedited for like $150 or whatever it is.
That seems so strange to me with AI grading. Isn't that completely like against the grain of what it's supposed to do? Like, how does it take you 28 days to robo-grade a card? Like, that's so weird to me because I feel like their play would be like, you send us your card, here's your flat rate, here's how long it takes, and you'll get upcharged if it's a 10. I feel like that's a great play for the market, but it just seems odd that I don't know how much demand AGS has or how much volume they get. I couldn't imagine much, but like that just seems very odd to me. Like I just imagine like a laser printer, like boom, 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 like, and they're just done. But again, that's probably me thinking robo grading's a lot farther, than it actually is.
And then the other thing is that this card, and I still don't have my images up. Supposedly you're supposed to be able to go on and see the images of the grading. So they still don't even have that uploaded to my account. So I can't see what they actually saw in these cards, which was the point of sending one of these.
Weren't they charging for that? I thought originally they were charging for that, but I could be wrong.
It's on there. It just says I called them up and asked them, and they said that it was 30 to 45 days to upload it. So it's like you got to wait possibly 30 to 45 days after I get my card back to see the images. Holy crap. But then this one here.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And this one here. So I did video of when I sent it there, and I did a black light on all the edges and checked them all out. So this Professor Oak one, I thought it should be, I didn't know they did half grades at it. So it should be a 10 is what I was thinking. I looked at my video. Now I've got 2 whitening spots, like symmetrically from the center of the card on the top. 2 little white dots that weren't there when it was shipped. And
did you contact
when
him?
I got that,
Did you contact him about that?
I did, and they said, well, that's when they said, well, when the images are loaded, but then we can, they kind of went over. So they're claiming it came like that, and it's like, well, I've got video proof of me putting it in the keep the card saver and everything without those marks under black light. You can watch the video yourself. There's no whitening on these at all. And all of a sudden in the case, there's visible white spots on the top. And if I look at my grading, that's where I got dinged, was edges, that they actually break it down for where the damage was. So top edges were on back were damaged or had whitening, or was my lowest score.
Yeah, that just,
So
I'm glad that you did that. I'm glad that you set those off just to see, because I don't think, I know Gary did his initial video whenever they first launched, and he was, on their board as whatever he's over.
But they're all sponsored. Every one of them I see come back have been sponsored, and they come back in this beautiful AGS purple box with the Robo Gray. I watched what it should look like, and that's why I did it as, I'm not going to get sponsored. I contacted them now because I want to do some more just to try it again and see what's different from when I sent it myself to what am I going to get back when I do a sponsored one.
What would be really interesting is send the same cards.
That'd be
funny. See if the grades are different, because consistency, right, and robo grading, that should be the end all be all. It's like, I always I've had a really bad experience with BGS so far. But even before that, their centering half point scale changed, which I've always complained about, because I'm like, centering is the only thing in a card that can be 100% consistent. It's not like they took the image off and reprinted the card. Like, no, because I remember Leonhardt, he took a black light to everything, and then he resubmitted, and it was a big test for them. And of course, like, the biggest PokeTuber out there is like, my centering went down half a point, or my centering went up half a point. It's like, or
it was moving 1 point. That one card, it moved one whole point. It went from like a 9.5 to an 8.5.
Oh yeah,
it's like,
you're right.
It's like, how does it move? It's impossible. That's literally the only score on the whole card that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Unless you shave the card with a razor blade somehow and make it so you can't see that, there's no way to move that centering.
Yeah,
that's always been my.
I have that Vegeta God Rare with them right now that I sent over a month ago, and if anybody's ever used BGS's website, it's absolute, like, a water trash website. Like, it's so bad, and you can't even find where stuff is. You're barely able to find the pop report. You have to log in for the pop report. Like, give me a break. But I sent it over a month ago, and in their system, it still says. So I got an email saying your shipment was received. Get ready. We're about to start the grading process. Cool. I log in. It says an invoice is created, and it says orders received and something else, and it's like 0. So I've had 2 interactions so far with their virtual assistants, or I guess it's somebody on the other end. And it's been like I almost do it for the walls now. So like the most recent one I did, I think, was yesterday or maybe the day before. But I was like, hey, Emma, who was some like customer service chick, was chatting me. I was like, hey, she's like, is it about grading? I'm like, yeah, I've got an order. It's over a month old. Just want to see if you guys have it. Knowing that according to their email, they have it. She's like, okay, let me get you over to somebody. And the guy, Alan was great. Here was the one response. Misspelled. Get back US with a semicolon in the middle of UNS. 2 days. And I was like, could you retype that for me? Disconnected from the chat. Like, completely, that was all I needed to know. Like, check back US days. And the first time I chatted them, they were like, check back, just terrible, like, customer service, like, just the worst. Yeah. And, that come out of the website. The only reason they're even, in my opinion, afloat is because of their black label. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think CGC is probably going to take a good amount. And I wish they would actually, for quad 10s, like, I wish they would do a gold label or something.
Yeah.
Like the CGC gold label, like, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I always said that, with CGC, when you get a perfect 10, you should do like the black label, do their own. Because the pristine 10 with a 9 will still, or 9.5 will still have the gold 10 on it.
Yeah.
They should at least only do that for a pristine 10 and maybe make the other one just the regular 10 if it has a mist, just so you could quickly distinguish. Yep. If it's on your shelf and you can see it's got, even if you don't get the subgrades, you could see, this is a perfect, pristine gold
card.
10. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a 10 because of that gold.
I actually hate that they changed their grading standard.
Yeah, I
It
do too.
didn't hit the market going like we are the hardest grading company out there, because that's what BGS is.
Mm-hmm.
And black labels are a joke. It's a subjective, you
Yeah.
know, population control ploy, in my opinion. It's like they just decide it's time for a black label, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on the inside who like, they're able to make sure black labels appear.
Yeah.
Because realistically, a half point on something is just like, it's like, come on, if you're like 3 10s and a 9.5, it's like, that was so purposeful. It just bothers me. But yeah, I think that CGC, I can kind of get why they wanted to do it, because everybody got tired of getting 8.5s, and they should
Yeah.
have scaled it. They should have had a little bit more fluctuation with like maybe nines thrown in there every now and then, but like there were people getting like 50 card subs and it's like 90% of them are 8.5s. It's like in modern Japanese and like stuff like that. It's like, come
Yeah.
on.
But
But
the
yeah,
thing is, though, is that so being a machinist and looking at inspecting on products, I would rather see harsh grading and see everything come low except for that one. That if you get a 10, it is literally perfect. And you know it.
right.
It's the same thing. You have a curve and everything kind of falls into a spot on a curve. And on the printing, even the printing facilities, it makes sense that they're going to fall into a curve with their product. It's just natural that the machinery falls there, the cutters fall there. Boom. Here's where your curve's going to fall. And then, of course, if you get a new batch or the beginning of the batch might have a better outlier, or at the end of the batch, you're going to go on the backside of it. But to me, I would rather see a harsh grade, less 10s, and the 10s that do come out, are the best of the best. These are the best cards in the market, and you're not questioning that in any way, shape, or form. And
Yeah,
that if they would kept
completely
doing
agree.
it, it'd been perfect. I mean, that to me, CGC when they first started it were actually exactly what I wanted to see when it came to grading company. That nice, harsh grading company that if you got a 10, you knew you had something.
Well, and here's the thing, it creates the chase. It's what the black
Yeah.
label is. I
Yes.
have I have no desire to grade with BGS anything.
Mm-hmm.
But for a card like what I sent off, it's a $2,500 card raw, 3,000 on some sales, a black label of the and I'm not sure how familiar you are with Dragon Ball, but they have there's a card in Tournament of Power, which was a set they had that was a UI Goku. I want to say it was called Awakened Power, Power Awakened, or Awakened Power, I think is what it is. And basically, from the player standpoint, you won the game. So, like, if you had that, there was a big player push to try and get those, because you could basically murk anybody for the time until they changed the rules. But so PSA 10s for that card at their peak, I think, were about $4,500. There's a couple that still hit about $4,000 now. The black label of that card sold for $90,000 in auction. Like, ridiculous. And you talk about like, and that was the thing. I saw that, and I think there's only been one black label, the God Rare Vegeta, that sold that was like 14 grand or something, way when the set first released. So I don't know how the hell that happened so quick, but that was kind of my thought. I was like, if I was able to hit that, and you kind of sit and wait, and they continue this God Rare release in these sets, because they have one in the upcoming set in September as well. They don't know what it is yet. I mean, if it's a Goku, it's gonna like break the internet. Like, that's going to be just such an insane card to go for. But if there was if I was able to hit a black label on that, that would be one I would just wait and just see kind of, okay, that one sold for 90 grand. Like, let's make this one the next sale. But beyond that, if I had a 9.5, even if I had a 10, not a black label 10, I'd be pissed. Like, I don't want this. Like, I'd be much happier with a PSA 10 at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the silver labels they do for like 9s. I think they're super ugly. They look old. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the way that BGS like handles their business, the way their stuff looks. I think Anvil might have said that they have the best looking slabs. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's consistency really for collectors.
Yeah.
I like seeing red and white. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's.
I personally like the CGC slab the best, but I do not like their labeling on it. I think if they had a
on
better
which
label,
company? BGS?
CGC.
Oh, CGC, yeah.
I like the CGC slabs. I like the clarity, how they're like crystal clear slabs. They look really nice for display, but I hate the label.
I think I have. Let's see. I think I've got one here.
Oh, No, the other thing is too is that it comes down to, and you were talking about that with the Dragon Ball Z. I'm trying to remember which amazing rare it is from Vivid Voltage. So there's a Population 1 Black Label, and I want to say it's either a Jirachi or a Rayquaza. Amazing rare. A PSA 10 right now, you could go buy that card for, what, $22, $20 roughly? And that might be high at this point. Yeah.
You know what bothers me? The space right here. I don't like it. Without subgrades, it bothers me.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I won this from Pokemon Radar. On his Radar games back in the day. So no, guys, I did not go out and buy a CGC Modern card. But I wish there was something here. Give me CGC or something. Like, give me something. Because it just looks empty without subgrades, you know? I'll actually leave this on. That's better.
Here you go, Professor Oak.
Oh, yeah. Where's your upside down stamp? Actually,
I wish.
Somebody asked me earlier, I mentioned they were like, is that a Gohan? Maybe you guys can see this a little bit better. Maybe not. Webcams are the worst, guys. Let's see. Hey, you can't really see it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. We're in clear. So that's the Gohan Dragon Ball Judge card. And this, if you guys can kind of see, like, that's not like a glare. That's like the hollow pattern. It's like if you've ever seen the Japanese Ancient Mew, where it's covered in those dots, that's the hollow shift that they put in these. And the later Judge cards, because this is the first Volume 1 Judge card set they did. I think they did that at the 3, and then I think they've got like 11 of them out or something. But after that, they changed it to where the hollow is only within like a little bit of the background. And then this was that steal of the century, the Frieza Judge card. So $1.75 right here, guys. What a winner. But yeah, I thought these were so cool to pick up. And then it's funny, they shipped I don't even know what these are, but this were the cover cards that the guy from Switzerland shipped the Gohan slab in that I just opened. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know who these characters are. And then he had a Cell, which is in there. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is a rare, like a regular everyday rare card. Like, that looks so sick. I mean, how cool is that if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan? Like, I would think that's a hit at somewhere or at some point.
Yeah. Because I got this.
Flareon 9.5. Time to crack. Let's make
Time
it
to
happen.
crack and send. And then this one I sent to them right after PSA closed down. I sent one of these. This is one of them that I sent.
Lapras?
It was a Lapras VMAX.
Talk about an underrated Pokemon.
I know.
love Lapras,
I love Lapras. I mean, I pulled it and I thought it's cool. So I wanted to test them, so I sent it.
It's like a water Dragonite. Like, it's just cool. Oh, here you go, Professor Oak. I know you're still in here. Oh, you, my man.
Man.
Let's make it happen. I'll keep plugging this for you constantly. Are you familiar with this one?
Me?
The Nat Awake. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
The Nat Awake. I got this in I actually opened it from the actual manga.
Oh.
Which is pretty dope. I bought it from a guy who was stationed in Japan. And he like kept it in a safe like forever. And he was just such a big fan of it. But yeah, I never oh, how cool. I didn't even know this was in here. It had a bookmark in it. That's funny. But yeah, I've never actually opened any of the Not Awakes. But yeah, just really, really cool. I thought it was such a cool collectible to have. And I've seen, I was so close to buying a volume 1 through 6 of this sealed cards in it sealed. Because I think, talk about like a very, very cool set to have. Yeah. I think it's like $6,000 now. But still, like, I mean, the cards probably aren't 10s. I mean, it's pretty hard to hit a Nat Awake Pikachu in a 10 at this point. Because even inside the actual paper that it's in, like, it still kind of moves around. You know, who knows how many planes that thing's been on at this point. But yeah, Oak, that's all you.
Yep.
Mason Desmond's. That's true.
But overall, my my biggest thing is with PSA, it's going to be interesting to see as technology gets better. Yeah.
Oh, I love Iwakuni. Did you ever play the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy?
Did
It was
I
like
ever find a Pokemon?
the Pokemon TCG, the video game where you like it was. I think it was
Yeah.
after. Yeah, it was after that. That's where I first found Iwakuni. I had no idea who this guy was because he was a random trainer in there, and I think he gave you like a card or something. But what a weird dude. I love this card though. It was like the highest grade that I've been able to find in a 9. Because if you look at any of these on eBay or anywhere, they're like, I love this A rank or good plus. Like those are always my favorite from Japanese sellers. And I always, whenever I'm scrolling through photos, I scroll backwards because I just want to see the back, and it just looks like it's been through a washing machine like 100% of the time. But yeah, probably one of the weirder cards that I've got.
And most of my cards aren't even, my rare cards are actually outside. I don't have them in here. These are just ones that I've kind of kept around and looking at them. Like I said, like the Lapras, you question, am I going to pay another $20 to have my Lapras graded again? No. Even $18? No. It's just my personal, I like Lapras. I like that VMAX, so I sent it out for grading just to test it out.
And a blue slab too, so it's like, it kind of fits the water theme, or whatever,
yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I like Flareon. Lapras is just cool because he was always one of the ones in the Game Boy version. It was pretty difficult to fish out of the Safari Zone.
Yeah, that's a set. That should have been a theme set, man. Missed opportunity. Safari Zone set. Just have all the Pokemon that are in that. That'd be so cool.
That would be, that'd be an awesome set. They just did the Safari Zone set.
That'd be sick. Mason goes, I like how Rudy is the Iwakuni of medicine.
Yeah, making his own promo cards.
That's so accurate, dude.
What did he say in his last video? He's made 13 promo cards now with like himself on Metazoo cards or something silly.
I mean, hey, whatever, man. Hopefully he got a bunch of Kickstarter boxes that he kept. I think he said he might have kept like 1 or 2 or maybe none at all. And then Mike was like, I don't have any. I'm like, bullshit, you don't have any. You could have a reprint it tomorrow. Jungle says been called Safari Zone. So I've heard people say that.
It's close.
I have heard people say that. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, a lot of the ones in the jungle set are there.
Just some modern guys. I graded some modern. Nice 10 waifu. Literally the only reason I graded this is because of the waifu people, and I thought they'd like it. I have more watchers on this card on my eBay than any other card by far. Like, there's so many.
This is one of them. I got to do research on a little bit more. I wanted it because I'm trying to get all my English Flareons. So I got this one, and it's a PSA 4. And I have no idea.
Is that a recent pickup?
Yeah.
I've seen this card before. I might have seen it posted. I think it was a similar grade. Maybe it was on PWCC. I think I saw this most recent auction block.
Most recent?
Yeah,
I bought this one. Oh, yeah, I picked this up probably. There was one on there this week for PSA 7.
7, that's what it was.
I had it saved. I was looking at it, but it went way too high at a 7. But I'm still trying to figure out, I can see the centering is off, a little bit. But overall, I don't know why it's a 4. Like, there's no damage, like scuffs or scratches or anything like that.
Print line?
There's no...
Maybe?
So, I mean, it's one of them cards. I was going to look it over and see. Maybe it's sun faded or something silly.
Those cards are tough because they went through, like, so much as younglings.
Oh, yeah, that's just it. But that's, like I said, I don't see anything it would physically that I can see. There you go.
There you go, guys. With there's our Kickstarter logo. $10,000, guys, all yours. You can get in the game. No, I'm kidding. Actually, funny. Basic. Is Basic still in here? I haven't seen him comment.
Yeah, he's here.
Is he? All right, he'll appreciate this. Here you go, Basic. I was so close to sending this into PSA at 18. So close. Because I love this card, dude. I love
I
it.
like basic trainers first thing about it. Crack it.
Actually, this one.
Then I wouldn't have a graded version of a Flareon basic. I don't want to crack it yet.
Just do it, man. That's what CGC's made for. It's a pre-grading company.
Yeah. Well,
Cobra Commander.
It's a PSA. It's not a CGC.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about for some reason I thought it was still on the last CGC card you did. What's funny is these are all of the GI Joe cards out of the packs that Basic gave me at Lee's pop-up shop. I like ripped the packs and it was so fun. I've never laughed so hard at something so like unexpected. Like I met him for the first time and we've been talking for a few months, and then it was right after the Logan Paul case fiasco, and he's like, "Here you go." And he just hands me 2 GI Joe packs. I was like, I don't know, man. These are stocks right now. I don't know if you want to sell these or give these away. I mean, it's cracking me up.
This is where the big bucks are at.
Yeah, basic
GI Joe stocks.
Man. These are your. Hey, dude, I'm waiting. I'm retiring off this Cobra Commander one day. I sleeved them just to keep the pristine condition ready to go.
You don't want to lose their value.
I'm telling you. They're just funny. Like it's like, I think Radar is probably the guy who's probably bought the majority or the most amount of different CCGs and TCGs. I've never seen it. He's opened Lion King cards. Like he's the only guy who knew about the Zelda set that I bought. Like he was like, I think it was because I bought a booster box from Boatangers Bonnie, if you're familiar with her or follow her on Instagram. She's in a lot of stuff for like Pokeju and those guys, goes to cons and stuff. She was one of the only people I saw that I knew that had a sealed box. So I was able to get that, just a booster box. And they're like $300 or $400 because Zelda's huge. And like that was the last TCG they had. And then I bought a master set where the guy accidentally sent me 3 master sets in a box, which I did not complain about because all of those gold foils with the PSA, that $18 sub, which is, I think I calculated like 48% of the pop or the total population or something. So I'm excited for those to come back. But I want to say it was like 2 weeks after that, Radar's like, I'm opening it's called a collector's fun box with that set. And I was like, dude, no one knows what this is. Like, it was just so crazy to see. And then I think a week later, he's opening Lion King cards at the zoo. I was like, what don't you own, man? Like, it reminds me of PK talking about the Batman animated series boxes that he was buying. It's like, there's just so much stuff like out there that you can buy and collect.
There's a collection for everybody.
It's pretty great. Because I think a lot of people get sorry if my audio is like going off. I think a lot of people get kind of in the bubble of like Pokemon Zen. And that's what's fun is like, and I can only speak to stuff I grew up with, but like there's so many collectible things, like things that like if you know an IP that you grew up with that you really liked, like except for I think Thrifty said there's no Wild Thornberries cards, which I'm disappointed because I would love to have a Nigel Thornberry at a PSA 10. It would crack me up. PC all day. But like if you like something, like they probably made something for it. Like, and if you enjoy it for like even the Zelda cards, like even if they don't like blow up, like I loved Majora's Mask as a kid, and like I'll hold on to those or liquidate them for whatever, just to keep the master set. But yeah, has there ever been one that you've thought about, like that you grew up with? I know you said you grew up on Magic, but like TV shows or like cartoons or anything that you've ever looked at another, like, hey, is there a TCG or a CCG out here for this?
Honestly, no. I thought about looking into some of them a little bit more because there's so many random ones. Some of them that never, they were a one booster box wonder and that's it. And it'd be kind of interesting. I think it'd be fun to just do like a side video of just random TCGs. Call it like unknown TCG and buy like a booster box of it and just open it on the channel.
Just crack it. Like, yeah, why not?
Crack it. Why not? I mean, it's not worth anything. Just find these random ones and bring them out just so people could see just the goofy things that have been in there.
What would it? If you had to think of one from what you grew up in? Think of an IP. What would it be? if knowing if it's there or not. Like if you could just open something that was like from the childhood.
Here's an obscure one: Garfield and Friends.
Mm.
Sonic the
Radar's
Hedgehog would be another
Radar
one.
has opened Garfield cards.
Yeah.
Sonic I haven't seen. Never looked for Sonic.
Yep. Is that the update?
This is my the movie promo.
Yep.
This is mine that I got when I was 10.
Wow.
It's funny. I had a stack over here that's all of my original Ancient Mew that I got with my movie ticket. It's so funny because I kept like there's some cards like here's a prime example of like condition from when I was a child. Little Vaporeon Hollow looks great, right? Scratch to absolute high heavens.
Oh yeah.
Random. It's probably hard to see, but black. Like I don't even know what that stuff is.
Speckles.
Oh my gosh! Like this thing, I don't even know what. It's like I threw it in a bag full of keys and just shook it as a kid.
Well, that's like I still have got to go do that. Dig through my parents' attic and see if I can find my Pokemon cards from when I was a kid. Because when I got done with college, I stored them all at my parents. Put them up in the storage that we have. Mm-hmm. And there's, 20, 30 years worth of shit piled up in there. So I got to go through it and try and find my cards. But they were played. And we didn't use sleeve protect, the protector sleeves or any of that stuff back then. So it's like, why people ask, well, why haven't you gone and found them? Well, because I know that they're all playing decks and
beat up.
They're all beat to hell. There's no, I know what they're at, where they're at, and I know that they're beat up, and I know roughly. I mean, I could probably find them if I were to dig around for a day. But it's like part of me just sits there and goes, I'm not gonna sell them. I'm not gonna grade them. They could just stay right.
They're
where
already
they're
technically in my free storage unit at my parents' house. It's like, why
exactly.
would I take them out?
If I take them out, I'm gonna have to find storage for them and try and keep them safe again. It's like I'm afraid I don't even know what it's insulated up above, so it's like a storage area. But I'm like, I don't know how hot them things have gotten. They're probably melted into the binder.
So I actually put almost all of my childhood cards in sleeves. Non-hollows, hollows. I was a weird kid. That's just what I did. But a couple of these like that I've never graded, they were the ones that I even today, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why are these in such bad condition? Even holding my 8-year-old self like accountable of like, what was I doing?
What was I doing with this?
Little first edition fossil action.
Fossil.
Non-hollow. The pre-release Misty Seadra. Beautiful card. I actually pulled not the pre-release, but the regular at least pop-up shop. That was one of the cards that went to PSA. And if it does come back at 10, maybe if it's a 9, it's a very clean card, like super. I looked over that thing a ton. I'll have Lee sign it for sure, like because he lives like 20 minutes away from me. I'd just be like, hey, can I bring you a Sharpie real quick? But talking about like your old cards, so my mom, and I'm not even joking, those 40-gallon black trash bags, my mom threw 3 of those away of Pokemon cards that I had as a kid. Oh. And they were in good condition. And I had a binder that was all of my hollows. And she gave them to my nephews like when they were like 10. And we'll play with these. They're just, whatever. I'm talking first edition Rocket. I definitely had Shining cards in there. I kept my Shining Gyarados luckily, but there were multiples. Like I think I had a Raichu in there too. Like just random ones, but I had a twin brother growing up. So all the Pokemon inventory was like double. And my dad did a lot of business overseas because I was born in Guam originally. But he would still go back there. So he had to fly through Japan to get there. So it's like 24-hour flight with layovers. Always would bring home like tons of Japanese cards, like mainly Team Rocket because that was what was around then. But like even this Jumpluff, like, oh, is that a swirl action? I think it might be.
Yeah, you got a couple. We had a swirl right by the top there.
This one's actually not in bad condition. I don't know why I didn't send it off. I probably just looked up the price and was like, it's not even worth it. But that was the funny thing is like I always joke that when we were kids, like Japanese cards showed up. No one know how they got there. Like, hey, I've got this.
Just kept randomly showing up.
Yeah, no, like kids would have Japanese cards. I'm like, where'd you get it? I don't know. Like, I don't know how
I,
those got over to America at that point.
that's funny because we were talking about that, and I know I have Japanese cards in my binders too, and I have I've never opened a Japanese pack back then.
Where did they come from?
Where did they come from? I know
Nobody
it's like
knows.
I swear they stuck them in the English packs just to get them here. We were opening them and
Well, it's
throwing
like,
them in the binder.
people don't understand, like ordering something online from another country back then was so exotic, so weird,
Oh,
and just like it didn't even like you just didn't get things shipped from other countries. Like you were doing like crazy stuff. You were like an adult or a grown up doing having that stuff happen.
yeah.
A weird one too. So like thinking about how those got over here, because there weren't like Japanese foreign exchange students at my school or
Oh,
anything like that, or Toys R Us is usually where I went to go play my leagues and stuff, and they just people just had them. It was like mainly Team Rocket and a little bit of I think Gym Heroes or something is one of the other ones.
base. I had a bunch of base set ones too. Don't know
Oh,
how.
really?
Yeah,
That's pretty
I don't know.
rare. I never saw base set Japanese almost ever.
I don't know how I got them. I couldn't
So
tell you because even tournament play, like nowadays you can get Japanese because tournament play technically you can use Japanese as long as you can read what the move is or be able to explain them, say what the card actually does. But that's where I laugh because you could have used Japanese even American, but Japanese base set and American base set were so far spread between them. How were these
years.
cards? I mean, it was what 96 for Japanese to 99, so there's 3 years difference between the two. Nobody had Japanese Pokemon card, base set around
Did
here.
you
It's
see
not like you were.
hollows or was it just like bulk that would show up?
We had hollows. I don't
That's
know which one
crazy.
specifically, but I remember there were some hollows. So I don't know if when we were trading cards, because we actually used to trade cards, someone had Japanese that, like you said, their dad was overseas and brought them. But I have no idea. Yeah, Hypno.
Will they go in here? It's like I had a lot of fossil as a kid, or this is like all that survived the trash bag throw out. Let's see. I can't
Yeah.
even read your name. Jade Joajak Enixanma. Sorry. So nostalgic. You're getting me into vintage. Dude, vintage is fun. There's just a lot of
It
cool
is.
story and backstory, and the art I think is just such a. I mean, granted, let me preface this because modern artists are very very good on the cards. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of the alt arts, like the Tornadoes alt art, that was one that I said PSA. That art looks so cool to me. Like it reminds me of Uyama and like very just that 2D cartoony nostalgic thing. Like looks awesome. But some of these vintage arts, and I don't know if I can. I'm biased, and I can acknowledge that, like because I grew up with them, and it's like they don't make them like they used to. But like, just some of the old arts, like seeing those original like illustrations, are just so. It was so cool. It's a nice little Machamp. I used to love Machamp as a kid. I was like, of course he wins. He has 4 arms. I never noticed. You see that red and blue, that hollow pattern, Andy?
Yeah, the cut.
Like I didn't realize it was different colors. Or like it kind of has like that little bit of a. That's weird. Maybe it's just the
Yeah,
light. I saw it that way.
it might be just the light coming off of it, just reflecting different.
It's that Murica Dark Machamp. That red, white, and blue. He's ready. Let's see. Yeah, I still had all the stuff sitting around because I sent off that PSA submission and too lazy to go to my closet. I should give away like so much. I have so much celebrations. Like
There you
literally
go. Start your channel and do a celebrations giveaway every video.
first video is the giveaway. That's how you do it.
Opening off get video.
Now I'm excited. I guess there's how many people are here? 14. So we do have got some pretty cool people lined up for some lives, and I want to do like regular videos, but like very few and far between. I guess really what I want to mainly focus on is like there's so many different collectors that I talk to that have no social presence. They're not in these chats, they're not in discords, like really Instagram, I'd say for the most part. But I kind of want to do like the collector behind the cardboard, like that type of like not just a super personal like Q&A, I guess, but like more just like understanding the niches that they're in. Like there's guys who are really into like autograph cards. There's people into like super high end. There's people that are super into binder collectors. There's people who are a part of different things that I want to talk to, but I've got some pretty cool guests lined up. I will let this go out. This is so I'll have Mason and Professor Oak will be my very first live stream. And that is on purpose because I'll start with Oak. Oak was the first YouTube channel that ever had me on. So I feel like that's just cool to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Mason, outside of his legendary status, was the very first person who did an Instagram live with me. So it's like both of those like first like lives or whatever. So they'll be the first ones. Should be sometime next week. And then after that, it'll be, I want to shoot for, because I've already got people lined up. I just don't have dates. I think it's going to be Dan and one other person I'm waiting to confirm, but somebody who's like really, really cool in the hobby. And then hopefully in October, I'll have Dave Perzin on, which would be really great, which if anybody's heard me talk about him, really, really cool guy. And basic, I'll mention it every time. I'll try and hold the pre-release ride shoe if it's there. I promise, man. I'll see if I can find it. This was one of the OG purchases from old school Pokemon, Nick on Whatnot. I don't think he's on there anymore. I stole this from him. It was like $2.
Oh, wow.
I think he even said that. He's like, "You stole this from me. What are you doing?" Mason,
Hey, if it goes cheap, why not?
Mason goes, "I just dabbed in real life." That's so funny. There was one other card I had in here that somebody sent me. Yeah, this thing. I don't know what this is, but they sent this to me in I think it was Holding Cards Together. I don't know what this is. It's kind of hard to see, but it's Japanese. At first I thought it was like some vintage like Dragon Ball card or something. Or hold on, let me take it out of the sleeve. But I sleeved it because I'm like, oh, it's a Magic card. I never even thought to look on the back. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I thought
it
it was
is.
one of the Magic cards.
Let's see if I can get it actually in focus.
It's the Japanese version.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what that guy is.
From. Well, gotta do some research.
Weird looking Shenron. That's really the first thought. It's like looks like a GT Shenron or something, like a Shadow Dragon. It's a Magic card, you nub. Yeah, I know. The gym badge trainer's underrated. I thought about grading it, man, but I just it just wasn't like just the cost basis didn't make sense. Here's a really cool one that I've had for a while. This was one that I had as a kid. My dad brought back from Japan. The old Rainbow Energy.
I was looking to see. I have a binder with all Japanese cards. I have that exact same one.
That's awesome.
I was actually
one of the first Hollow Energies,
upstairs,
I think.
Though.
Oh, look at the swirls from the vintage childhood collection.
There you go.
Right next to. I'm trying to get it in focus.
It's like it's a psychic move.
Oh, I know, right?
Psychic swirl.
It's actually coming out of her head. That's cool.
Well, does anybody in the chat have any questions? Because I'm going to lose my voice here pretty quick.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm going through just...
No, it's fine. It's just this cough keeps getting worse and worse as I keep getting further into the night.
Yeah, guys, that'd be great. If you guys have like 2 or 3 questions for us to end on, that'd be awesome. I love answering stuff. I'll continue to just show childhood collection stuff, the Black Star promo. Divine Gambit. Here's another Japanese.
Yeah.
Extra roll from the childhood. I don't know where the hell my dad bought these. My dad's 74 this year. He was old then. So like imagine him walking into some Japanese shop and like buying these. I bet he got ripped off like crazy. But
he probably didn't care because you guys liked it.
That's what it was. He's like, well, I'm gone for a couple months. I'll make up for it in Pokemon cards. And he was right. It did work. Let's see. I did the work for it. Yeah.
Quick. Well, I actually have the chat saved on here, so you can come back and reference this at any time.
I need to educate myself.
Like
all
I
right,
said,
guys,
that's what I've been doing.
any last minute questions? I don't want Andy to start whispering because I kept him too long. Have to do some ASMR. Get up in the mic. This was really great, guys. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Like I said, it's been the worst thing about the whole. It's twice, this is the third time I've had COVID.
Oh, you got it now?
Time it was like,
you have it right now?
No. I had it at the beginning, right before the 4th of July. I had it.
Oh,
and it's just a cough, like lingering. So the first time I got COVID, it was like this. I had the cough for like 6, almost 7 weeks after I was done with COVID. And now this time it's the same thing.
Visual ASMR.
The one in between,
I had.
I think
I had it like. There we go. The hollow pattern looks so much better when there's a light in front of it. I had it a few months ago, and I didn't really have a cough. I was just like so absolutely exhausted. Like I could not get. I wanted to go to sleep like constantly. Yeah.
Well, I hibernated for 3 days. That's what my wife said. I pretty much just hibernated. She said I got up probably enough to eat, go to the bathroom, take some pills for the fever, and go back to bed.
Dude, I would just sacrifice. I just sacrificed the food. I was like, as long as I can close my eyes for like however much.
Yeah. Very nice.
Well, first edition action. That's so funny. I haven't gone through these in so long, but these are all from when I was a kid. I don't even remember, like, it's just funny thinking back to that time of like opening packs and like having like you knew the shiny ones were cool. I do remember, and I won't keep you too long, but I remember I opened a Team Rocket, a first edition, not Team Rocket pack. Which Neo set was Shining Gyarados in? Destiny?
I think it was.
I'm terrible.
Discovery.
Yeah. So I opened up. My mom bought me 3 packs, and the first pack I opened up a first edition Shining Gyarados. The second pack I opened up a Shining first edition Magikarp, back to back. And I remember a kid was like next to me, like I was like, dude, I got the fish. Like, I was just so pumped, whatever. But yeah, it was probably the best pull game of my life, I would say. Never pulled a Charizard. That is one thing I think a lot of people think happened all the time back when we were kids. Like, that did not happen. Like, I knew nobody who pulled a Charizard. I knew people who had them, but they traded for them.
Which Charizard?
Base set.
Oh, we used to pull them all the time. Jeez.
Did you really? I never.
Well, we used to open up when it came out. We used to buy the. So the funny thing is that I found, when I was at my parents' house, we found a newspaper article from Shields, which is a sports store here in Eau Claire that's still there. And they were selling Pokemon booster boxes. And I remember buying them from there.
You had a booster box as a kid? Good on you.
Well, my friends and I used to always just put some money together because we were playing. And we'd all buy booster boxes because, they were the best way to get what you were looking for. And I laughed because there was a sales thing. Jungle booster boxes for $49.99 on sale. And then they had like the Team Rocket ones in there for $49.99. Base set was $49.99, unlimited. It was just like...
Say it for the kids in the back so they can understand. $49.99.
Yeah, I know. And I said, it's like, what? It's freaking crazy. Could you imagine if you knew what you knew now? Buying them things at $49. But we used to, there was 5 of us, and we would, sit there and put $20 each or $10 a piece. Because we were playing the TCG, so we were looking for playable cards that we were actually trying to do.
So we'd all go to tank people.
Alakazams.
Oh, yeah. Snorlax is pretty decent.
Snorlax is pretty decent. I ran an Alakazam deck for quite a while. So that was
what's funny is when I played at Toys R Us and stuff, I just played against kids. I had no idea how to build a deck. I was like, all right, I got cards. Let's go. Yeah. And I remember dominating people, probably just because I was like, I had to teach them how to play the game. And the coin flip, I was a beast at. I probably had some damage coin that just always landed on heads. But yeah, I remember playing so much of that as a kid, man. And it's funny you say that because a lot of people I've talked to are like, I never played as a kid. Nobody around has played as a kid. Even
Oh,
Jake, Pokenomics said that. I was like, dude, people played constantly. Like,
oh
not
yeah.
trying to build decks, but like, they played the game all the time.
We used to always play at lunch at. Actually, our school had a no Pokemon rule because
Dude,
it
so did
was.
mine. They banned them because we wouldn't
Yeah, they
stop
banned them
playing.
in the school
Like,
because we wouldn't stop playing at lunch and recess, and we'd be playing any chance you got. Anytime that there was downtime in school, we were pulling out Pokemon cards to play.
no,
So,
we'd have to, it was like, we'd have to smuggle binders in and they would
oh
like
yeah,
get mad. They would get pissed. They'd be
hmm
like, are those Pokemon
yeah,
cards or
is it
something?
Pokemon?
I
Yeah,
was like,
Pokemon cards.
I just like looking at them. Like, it's what anything
Yeah,
crazy, but it's just funny.
but no,
Well, I
yeah,
don't
I
see
remember
any,
they banned us.
I don't see any questions coming in, man. So, yeah, feel free to wrap up whenever you're ready. Like I said, I don't want you
So,
to lose your voice.
well, yeah, like I said, it's just gonna keep getting raspier. So, but like I said, thanks everybody. Once again, Peekdatchu, when you get an actual channel together, it'd be really awesome to check that out. Of course, check you out on Instagram. I'll put your Instagram link down below. That way
Thank you,
everybody
dude.
comes
Yeah.
in
Um,
can jump in and find you.
yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, man. This was a really fun chat, kind of last minute, like we talked about. But dude,
Yeah.
I love the conversation. We covered a lot of stuff. But yeah, if anybody, I don't even know if you can look up just username channels or sub to people on there. But if you guys want to get ahead of the game, go for it. If not, no worries. It's mainly just me wanting to
My
showcase.
internet just dropped. I got Starlink, so it likes to drop like every
Oh,
random for a
you're on
minute. Okay,
you're
we're
on the
back.
Elon
Okay,
side.
we're back.
Are we back?
So you
Can you?
yeah, you can tell them about subscribing to your channel one more time because yeah, you can pre-subscribe to your channel. You can just subscribe to anybody's channel. So
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry,
I'll
guys.
put the link down there below for that too.
Elon, Elon has the hiccups for some reason. Starlink went down. No, so yeah, if you guys want to get ahead of it, you want to sub, fine. If not, either way, doesn't matter. It'll be great to see you guys in there if you just want kind of alerts and stuff. And obviously, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll post that stuff. But yeah, first guests are going to be Oak and Mason, and I have them on hopefully by next week. We're still sorting out a date, but I'll update everybody on my socials, and then Dan and someone else will be after that. The other person I haven't gotten full confirmation for, but I'm pretty confident he'll come on with him. And then after that, there's a couple other guys I've got lined up. So I'm trying to get like very ahead of this. And these are people that you guys will definitely want to hear. You will be familiar with them. They do have a social presence. And I am very lucky that they would agree to like come on something that is literally starting from scratch. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys there. And again, yeah, I'm sure you guys are all subbed to Andy Northwoods, but go for it. Cool guy, great content. Working through the raspiness as a true goat. So thank you guys so much. And thank you for having me on again, man. This was really a good time.
Once again, guys, thanks for joining us. Once again, a lot of fun, good conversation. Enjoyed having you on once again. Really did cover a lot of stuff, everything from MetaZoo through grading and everything else. So good information.
We solved the market.
Yeah, good perspectives from. It's always nice, and that's what I always like about doing the lives versus myself is you get perspectives from different people, and even though we both are going kind of the same direction on things, you still get that multi-look at things. I might look at something like MetaZoo. Am I investing in MetaZoo? Yeah, I'm investing in MetaZoo. You're probably investing in MetaZoo. Our reasonings are slightly different, and we see different things in the market, but it's a good perspective to actually get those different things. So, like I said, this is awesome to have these conversations, and it definitely gets some creative thought going out of them for people in the chat or people that watch us in the future. So, other than that, like I said, thank you guys for joining us, and of course, we will see you next time here.
Take it easy, guys.